The remaining Dian Song members looked dazedly like Lu Russian at the putrid scene. They understood why Lu Russian did that. If they pissed off someone like Yi Mo again, then he wouldn't hesitate to annihilate Dian Song. The remaining Dian Song members looked dazedly like Lu Russian at the putrid scene. They understood why Lu Russian did that. If they pissed off someone like Yi Mo again, then he wouldn't hesitate to annihilate Dian Song. And the reason he didn't annihilate Dian Song completely wasn't because he was suddenly turned to be nice and tolerant, but Wu Dao Qianbei intervened. Yi Mo didn't have the confidence to defeat Wu Dao, and plus, Lu Russian sworn an oath. Thus he stopped. If Wu Dao Qianbei didn't come, Yi Mo would completely annihilate Dian Song for sure. Even so, Yi Mo killed Bian Shihai before he left. Just looking at how he killed Bian Shihai in front of Wu Dao Qianbei, one could see that Yi Mo wouldn't allow any threats to exist. He knew that the feud between him and Bian Shihai was unresolvable, so he killed him. And although Lu Russian made the oath, if Yi Mo didn't want to let Dian Song go and came back again, they wouldn't have any way out of it. So he chose to seal the sect. This was the safest way. Moreover, it was very hard for a hidden sect to cultivate a black-level warrior. It required even a top-talented person many years. Yi Mo killed almost 70% of the Dian Song's strong disciples. Dian Song could be said to have been fragmented. Yi Mo didn't even need to come. Any smaller sect could finish off Dian Song and acquire this place. At this moment, Dian Song was treading on thin ice, so they had to be careful. Yi Mo stood on the flying sword and charged into the air. Although he killed almost all of the elite in Dian Song in this battle, he also paid a price. He was injured and used up a lot of qi. After he fought with Wu Dao, he immediately knew that he wasn't a match for that monk yet, so he decisively chose to retreat. According to his original plan, he was going to annihilate the entire sect and search their stores. But since something happened, he wouldn't come again second time. He knew that although he felt threatened by Wu Dao, this feeling of threat was mutual. Although he was no match for Wu Dao yet, there was no way Wu Dao could capture him. Plus, if they really fought a life and death battle, it's unknown who would win yet. When Yi Mo came back to Serenity, Tang Beiwei was already waiting for him. Seeing her brother come back, she finally felt relieved. She knew her brother was strong, but this time he went to Dian Song. She heard her master say that Dian Song was one of the 6 big sects of the hidden sections. Although they were the last ranked, but it didn't mean they were weak. Let's go, we'll talk when we get back. I'll ask her master and see if she can help set up that chain again. Yi Mo smiled at Tang Beiwei and said, "No need. Master said she could fix the chain herself." Tang Beiwei shook her head. Yi Mo nodded. "In that case, I won't do anything. After we go back, I'll make a few amulets for you." Unexpectedly, after Yi Mo came back from Dian Song, Jing Xian didn't ask anything. Although she often came to Tang Beiwei's place, she never asked Yi Mo what happened at Dian Song. Since she didn't ask, Yi Mo wouldn't tell her, and he stayed at Serenity. He usually went around gathering herbs. The rest of the time he spent with his sister cultivating the blue flower blue leaf grass and the purple heart vine and teaching her cultivation. The life of Yi Mo here in Serenity was lived silently and slowly without ups and downs. In the depth of Wuliang Mountain, where humans didn't set foot in, there were a lot of precious herbs. 2 weeks later, Yi Mo finally gathered all the ingredients and made another cauldron of qi-increasing pills. He also made another cauldron of lotus life seed and face-preserving pills. Yi Mo failed in making the first cauldron of qi-increasing pills and succeeded in making the second cauldron with 9 pills due to Luo Xian's qi recovery pills. Now Yi Mo was at stage for qi gathering and made 12 pills in his third cauldron. This made him rejoice greatly. Yi Mo let Tang Beiwei consume 1 to reach stage 2 qi gathering, and then left her with 2, telling her to eat another after reaching stage 2 peak. As though feeling that her brother was going, Tang Beiwei was no longer in the mood to cultivate. She spent every day with Yi Mo. She hoped her brother would stay here, but she knew that was not possible. This morning, Tang Beiwei came to Yi Mo's place in the morning, but didn't see her brother. Instead, she saw a letter on the table. Tang Beiwei knew that her brother had left for sure. Although she knew her brother would be back to see her, she still felt down. She picked up that letter. Below it was a small dagger that her brother made for her. Suddenly, she had the urge to cry. A sigh sounded from behind Tang Beiwei. Tang Beiwei turned around and saw her master watching her from behind. Tang Beiwei called out "Master" tiredly. Jing Xian walked in and patted Tang Beiwei's hair. After a long time, she said, "Beiwei, your brother is no ordinary person, and you also know that. That's why you stayed here. I think if you want to live a wealthy life, you only need to ask and your brother would get it for you. Master, I don't like the boisterous city. I like the peaceful, worryless life here." Tang Beiwei immediately shook her head. Jing Xian nodded and said, "That's why you need to work hard and cultivate. Don't disappoint your brother. I think he will come back to see you. Perhaps the next time he comes back, he will take you away with him." Tang Beiwei shook her head and didn't talk. If she wanted to leave, she could get her brother to take her this time. But she didn't want to go back to the city and live the life of no kin. Although her brother left, her mother was still here. And she knew that a lot of the things her brother did was too extraordinary. So, she couldn't be of hindrance to her brother. Staying here, her brother didn't have to worry about her. After she had enough power, then she could go help her brother. In her eyes, there was no right or wrong. As long as her brother did it, it was all right. So she would never ask what Yi Mo did, nor talk about it. Yi Mo didn't tell Tang Beiwei when he left. He knew that ever since seeing the sister, she seemed very emotional. She became a completely different Tang Beiwei now to the one he first saw. When he first met her, she was very subjective and was even prickly. Yi Mo knew it was due to her living under poverty and prejudice. If she didn't act tough, then perhaps she would have long been devoured by others. When Tang Beiwei was young, she must have never experienced the feeling of being loved. She didn't even have a childhood, so she cherished Yi Mo's love a lot. When Yi Mo came to Flowing Snake, he almost couldn't believe his eyes. This place was no longer rowdy and chaotic like a few months ago. Countless workers worked tirelessly everywhere. What was this? Yi brother. A voice of joy sounded. Fong Nan brought a few of his minions over. Fong Nan, what's this? Yi Mo looked at Fong Nan with a ruddy and ecstatic face. Although he saw that Fong Nan had ascended yellow level middle stage, this wasn't what he cared about the most. He was thinking about how Fong Nan hired all these workers. How did he have the money? Fong Nan said joyfully, "Yi brother, everyone was happy when you annihilated the amphibian gang. In the borderland area, it's all managed by our Luo Yu Trade Company now. Zong brother and Su brother are here." Yi Mo saw Zong Jiayan and Su Ping run over, and then he found that Mo Hai was also here. Master. Eru and Lu Xiaojin ran over excitedly. Ever since Yi Mo left Luozong, this was the first time they saw him again. "Let's go. We'll talk inside." Yi Mo was also happy to see so many friends and brothers. The people sat around Yi Mo in a big room. They had been gathered here due to Yi Mo and were now fighting for a common goal. "Where's Yang Jiao?" Yi Mo didn't see Yang Jiao and Han Zai. Zhang Jian immediately said, "Those two with Yu Miaodong and Yuan Meixiang are going to apply to customs. Jack shipped us some medicinal equipments from England." Seeing Yi Mo's confusion, Mo Hai immediately said, "Jack is that British you saw on the boat last time. He's the manager of the England Berry Medicinal Corporation's Asian operations. After knowing that you are the owner of Luoyu, he asked to invest in Luoyu." So it was him. Yi Mo immediately remembered that little girl Jenny who admired him greatly. Zong Jian continued, COE, this time it's all due to Mo Hi Brother that we can register as a company and re-establish Flowing Snake. Their Hong Kong Mo Corporation provided $200 million to our company to start up and brought over Jack to invest in us. However, regarding the shares, we don't dare to say much. We have to ask you to decide when you're back. Hearing Zhang Jian's words, Mo Hai quickly said, Yi Qianbei, it's my uncle's will to invest in Luoyu, and my uncle doesn't need Luoyu shares. My uncle said we must support whatever Qianbei does. As for Jack, he doesn't need shares. He just hopes Luoyu can cooperate with his company. Yi Mo already knew what to do on his mind and no longer talked about shares. He knew that he saved Mo Kong before, and Mo Kong now was trying to pay him back. He wouldn't mistreat Mo Kong, however. As for that British Jack, he was very cunning and already thought about future cooperations. Yi Mo took out 2 qi-increasing pills to Mo Hai. These 2 pills are called qi-increasing pills. Help me put them up for auction. One of this is enough for a warrior below Earth level to break through. Yes, Qianbei. Mo Hai took the pills excitedly, although he didn't know what Earth level was. He knew this was related to ancient martial arts. These pills could allow ancient martial artists to ascend, and this meant they were extremely powerful. Su Ping immediately said, Third brother, your pill is too precious. I'm black level middle stage now. I'm sure I will ascend a stage half a year later. I've never even dreamed of such things before. Yi Mo smiled. Second brother, in the future, our company will be renowned across the globe. There will be many ruffians coming to start trouble. So the stronger second brother is, the better. Dealing with ruffians is what I love to do most. Third brother, don't worry. I'm sure those scums outside won't be able to see our tech at all. Su Ping patted his chest and promised. Yi Mo looked at you, Eru, and said, Eru, when I'm not here, you can learn ancient martial arts with your martial Uncle Su. You must not drop it. Yes, master. Yu Eru quickly replied. Zhang Hen said perplexedly, COE, I've seen the pills Eru made. We can't mass produce them. Although it's good, it's too hard to develop and grow the business. Plus, no matter how strict we keep the secrecy, if specialists buy our pill for analysis, they may be able to figure out its pharmaceutical formulations. Yi Mo smiled. Zhang brother, don't worry. Not only can our pill be mass-produced, but other people won't be able to copy it. Then Yi Mo turned and said to Mo Hai, Mo Hai, after you go back and sell these 2 pills, help me buy 200 million worth of jade. I don't need it to be very good quality. Just average is fine. Okay, Qianbei, don't worry. I got this covered. Mo Hai stood up and promised. Although he was shocked at Yi Mo's request, he didn't ask anything. Yi Mo waved his hand. Don't call me Qianbei. Just say my name. After 2 hours of meeting, Yi Mo knew that the Luoyu Corporation was managed by Zhang Jian and Yu Miaodong. After Yu Miaodong came back, Yi Mo made his decision. Zhang Jian and Yu Miaodong would still be responsible for sales. Yuan Meixiang and Lu Xiaojin would be temporarily responsible for finance. At the same time, Su Ping would be substitute for Yi Mo, responsible for appropriating funds and signing papers. The safety of the company was the most important, and Yang Nan and Yang Jiu were responsible for this. A month later, Mo Hai came back to Flowing Snake. Mo Kong came with him. He heard that Yi Mo was in Flowing Snake, so he came personally. He admired Yi Mo from the bottom of his heart. After the 2 qi-increasing pills were released, they were bought by a Hong Kong family, selling for 300 million. Yi Mo also sighed. There was no more blood coral. If he still had some, he could gather money only by selling these pills. However, this price was far lower than the price in the hidden sect auction. If they were put up for the auction last time, then perhaps the price would double or more. The 200 million worth of jade were all set up around the factories of Flowing Snake. There were no spirit stones here. Yi Mo could only use a lesser material to build a spirit-gathering formation around the factories. The effect was far inferior to one made with spirit stones, but it could still produce spirit qi. The qi gathered was only enough to make pills and was far from enough for cultivation. At the same time, Yi-Mo added a few spirit-gathering formations on the beauty pill machines to guarantee quality. Yi-Mo used a month and changed the formulation of the beauty pills and taught it to Yu Eru. However, these pills could only be made under special circumstances because it needed spirit qi, and Yi-Mo's spirit-gathering formation satisfied this requirement. If this was in the cultivation realm, there would be spirit qi everywhere, and such low-grade pills wouldn't need any formations. But that wasn't the case on Earth. The second pill, Yi-Mo, taught Yu Eru was the heart-preserving pill. It could ease up all sorts of fatigue and remove of hidden dangers in the body. As for other pills, Yi-Mo told Yu Eru that they would make them after the two pills succeeded. It wasn't too smart to introduce all the products once. The main reason Yi-Mo made this company was to gather all sorts of spirit grasses. He even drew the grasses down and gave them to Zhang Jiayan. He ached Zhang Jiayan and his men to search for them. After all these things were done, Yi-Mo left Flowing Snake. Yi-Mo knew that with the current circumstance, he wouldn't be able to ascend if he stayed in one place, staying in the same spot. From then on, Yi-Mo, alone with his sword, had been searching the whole China to find Luoying. It has been almost half a year since Yi-Mo left Flowing Snake. It has been almost half a year since Yi-Mo left Flowing Snake. During this half a year, a piece of huge news has been circulating amongst the upper class at the international level. That news being that the arrogant hitman organization Earth Fiend had been completely destroyed overnight due to offending a certain strong person. Royalty and the wealthy alike all felt fear upon hearing the name of Earth Fiend. At the same time, in the remaining big hitman organizations, this person has been listed as someone they mustn't touch at all costs. However, in the hidden sects, the most shocking thing wasn't this, but that Jian Song and He Lu sect were almost annihilated. These two sects were the bourgeoisie of the hidden sects, but due to offending some youth, they were almost eradicated. If Elder Chu of He Lu sect hadn't returned in time and sealed the sect, then perhaps they would be gone now. Also, if the new sect leader of Jian Song hadn't picked the right opportunity to apologize, and if Wu Dao Qianbei hadn't intervened in time, perhaps they would have been annihilated too. Even so, these two sects were greatly damaged and were no longer as strong as the other four big sections. Of course, in the Mafia, the most prevalent news was the annihilation of the amphibian gang and the retraction of Metal River. Even Nanqing was stunned that all of this could be caused by offending one and the same person. Everything seemed to be related to one person. Some people knew who this person was, but most didn't. However, this wasn't what normal citizens cared about. These things were unrelated to their daily lives. They didn't care about it. Instead, they were more interested in the newly risen Luoyu pharmaceutical company. Although the name Luoyu was very strange, a name wasn't too much cause for concern. What people cared about the most was that the company still hadn't even pushed out their products. People didn't even know what the company was producing, but two super companies were already willing to cooperate with it. One was the leading family entrepreneurship of Hong Kong, Mo Corporation. The other was the world-renowned England Berry Corporation. Whether this company was created as a hoax or not, their first product, the beauty pill, received a lot of heated debate. The instruction manual said the beauty pill could not only slow aging, but also remove marks and wrinkles on the face, while making the skin white. Long-term use could even increase one's lifespan. At this moment, all sorts of commentary, suspicion, cursing, and anger were pointed at the Pharmaceutical Regulation Institution. This obviously fraudulent product could actually reach the market. Even idiots could tell this was a fake ad. All the ad was missing was saying the pill was an immortality pill. Yet, the institution clearly supported the beauty pill's legitimacy, saying there had been no backdoor dealings. Despite the pressure of such criticism, the beauty pill was still put on the shelves on the foreseen date. This made a lot of the dubious citizens confused. Some people were even prepared to buy one and give it a try, but many soon gave up the thought. This was because one bottle was being sold for 100K, and there were only 6 pills in a bottle. The price was decided on after much consideration by Zhang Jiayan and Yu Miaodong. The effects of the beauty pill were undoubtedly there. Of course, this batch of pills couldn't be compared with the batch Yi Mo had made. Those had been made with Yi Mo's essence qi, and the ingredients had been much more precious. And now, the beauty pills used less precious ingredients and were mass-produced, so the price was a little lower. Although the current 6 pills together were less potent than one of the original pills, the effects were still obvious. After consuming a bottle, there will be results. Although it had been marketed as magical, no one bought them because no one believed it and because the price was so exorbitant. At the Guilin distribution point, 30 bottles were sold at once. Shi Yuerong also hadn't expected that she would be able to see the beauty pill again at Guilin. Ever since she bought one for 200K at the Luo Tsang social night, she had never seen it again. Although she went back to Luo Tsang a few times afterwards, she didn't find anything. She hadn't expected to see this at Guilin. Although it didn't smell as good as the one she bought last time, it smelled quite the same. Shi Yuerong immediately realized that it came from the same place as the one she bought last time. Ever since she had eaten that beauty pill, not only had her face become shiny and smooth, her skin had also become white. A lot of people who knew her asked her where she'd bought the pill, but when they went to Luo Tsang again, Yi Mo had already left. So this time, she didn't hesitate to use up the 3 million in her card. If it wasn't that she didn't have enough money, she would have bought more. With a first customer buying, furthermore buying so much at once, people started to buy the beauty pills. Although it was still only 1 bottle at a time, that was much better compared to nothing being sold yesterday. However, this situation didn't last long. A week later, almost all the distribution points were full of people. Just a few days had passed, and the beauty pills that had been stacked for a week were sold out, and large amounts of orders were sent to Luo Yu Company. The beauty pill was authentic. It was more authentic than what it said in the instruction manual. There was really such a thing in the world, such a magical pill. Almost everyone who had first bought the beauty pill saw a business opportunity, and it was they who bought them like crazy. They knew that this price would multiply in the next month. Over the course of 1 short month, all sorts of reports showed that the beauty pill was heavenly and magical. This new pill not only shocked all levels of China, but also the rest of the major pharmaceutical companies throughout the world. Instantly, everyone knew why the international big companies England Berry Corporation and Hong Kong Mo Corporation would cooperate with Luo Yu Corporation. Such an out-of-this-world company. Only an idiot wouldn't cooperate with them. But everyone was disappointed when Luo Yu Corporation announced that they do not accept any orders nor cooperations with other companies. Even the beauty pills were only sold at certain chosen places. This was madness. The entire earth was shaken into a frenzy by Luo Yu corporations. What pill could have such an overwhelming effect? What company can be as dominant as Luo Yu? They're not even receiving orders. On top of that, the announcer also mentioned that they will be bringing out more products. In this short time, the deserted Flowing Snake became busy with people. But Flowing Snake was the borderland between 2 countries. This land was disputed territory. No one had wanted to stay here in this chaotic land, but after the popularity of the beauty pill, it became popular too. The factories of the beauty pills were heavily guarded, though. No one could come close. At a normal restaurant in Yu State, an emaciated young man sat drinking just a Mao Tai. He was Yi Mo. During this half a year, Yi Mo had been to many places and even went to a few hidden sects, but he still had no news of Luoying. Some places were hard to reach for other people, but they were nothing to Yi Mo. No matter how hard to get to the place was, he only needed to step on his flying sword to reach it. This time, he passed by Yu State and remembered Ning Qingxue. Eventually, he couldn't resist the longing in his heart and wanted to come and see Ning Qingxue. He wondered how she had been lately. Although he knew it wasn't good to do this, he didn't hate Ning Qingxue. Perhaps one day, when she remembered what happened between them, she would feel more pain than him. So he had never hated her. He was waiting for her to remember. Sometimes, Yemo wanted to drop these things. But once he thought about it or saw something that triggered the memories, he could no longer resist the longing in his heart. He couldn't just calmly walk past Yu State this time. He chose to stay. Regardless of whether he could see Qingxue or not, he still wanted to go have a look. There was a connection which couldn't be severed or set aside. Yi Emo couldn't be carefree. He wanted to, but he couldn't. Yu State Mao Yuan Tower was the headquarters of Fei Yu Corporations. At the CEO's office NR 808, the CEO was listening to Vice CEO Li Mumei's report. Li Mumei was talking about the recently popular beauty pill. Mumei, you're saying the headquarters of this Luo Yu Corporation is in Flowing Snake? Isn't Flowing Snake very chaotic? Ning Qingxue heard Li Mumei's report and asked with a frown. Qingxue, you've actually been to Flowing Snake before. However, I heard that Flowing Snake isn't the same as before due to Luo Yu Corporation. It's now very popular and prosperous. It's said that it's even safer than some mainland cities. Li Mumei sighed. Qingxue, you've actually been to Flowing Snake before. However, I heard that Flowing Snake isn't the same as before due to Luo Yu Corporation. It's now very popular and prosperous. It's said that it's even safer than some mainland cities. Li Mumei sighed. She felt that Ning Qingxue was getting prettier and prettier, but also colder and colder like ice. Auntie said to not let Qingxue remember the past, but she didn't know if this was right or wrong. She's been with her the most, and she felt Qingxue had changed too much. Instead of letting her be like this, she might as well remember the past. However, she didn't dare make Qingxue remember it overtly. She could only give a hint occasionally. Otherwise, if Qingxue's mother knew, she wouldn't be happy. As expected, Ning Qingxue frowned and then said after a long while, Mumei, you said that the memories I lost are partially about Flowing Snake? Why would I go there? Li Mumei nodded. Yes, Qingxue. Although I don't know why you went to Flowing Snake, but I think it was related to him. Ning Qingxue frowned again and subconsciously felt the necklace on her chest before saying slowly, Mumei, when I went to Luohong Temple last time, Master Wu Guang said that perhaps before I died I intentionally used my soul to wrap up the memories I didn't want to lose. However, the doctors judged that I just lost 1 year's worth of memory, and they said it was due to a concussion. Master Wu Guang's words sounded more metaphysical or implausible, so although the doctor's words sounded more authentic, Li Mumei still wanted to tell Ning Qingxue to believe the monk. However, she remembered Ning Qingxue's mother's words and resisted the urge. In the depth of her heart, she was also lost. She didn't know if it was right or wrong to help Ning Qingxue remember those things. Ning Qingxue did almost lose her life twice with EMO, so she didn't dare speak. Who knew if that would happen a third time? Also, Li Mumei had investigated Ning Qingxue's tracks during that year. Not only did she go to Flowing Snake alone, she also went to the desert with Qi Wanqing. She even went to Shen Nongjia by herself. Although she didn't know what happened during these events, Li Mumei knew it was related to Yi Mo. Furthermore, the terrifying incident of the Heaven Ditch seems to have occurred at the same time as when Ning Qingxue left. So, only she knew that Ning Qingxue's lost memories weren't for a year, but specifically the memories with Yi Mo. It seemed to be very coherent with what that monk had said. However, he said that only high-level cultivators could do that, and she wasn't sure if Ning Qingxue had cultivated that stuff. If it wasn't because she remembered that Ning Qingxue had never cultivated ancient martial arts, she really wouldn't be able to resist telling her. Besides, even if Ning Qingxue had cultivated ancient martial arts, She wouldn't have been able to reach a high level due to her age. Mumei, I heard that CEO Zong of the Luoyu Corporation is hard to talk to and has rejected most well-known corporations. They probably wouldn't even look straight at our Feiyu Corporation. I'm a bit tired today. I'm going back first. We'll talk tomorrow. Then, Ning Qingxue got up and felt her chest. She felt her heart was aching a little, but the hospital had never been able to find a problem. Qingxue, are you okay? Li Mumei saw Ning Qingshue's actions and knew her heart was aching again. Ning Qingxue shook her head. I'm fine. Seeing Ning Qingxue and Xiao Yu leave together, Li Mumei had a certain strange feeling. She didn't know what she should do now. After finishing a day's work, Li Mumei fatiguely walked out of the building. She walked into the car park to drive her buggy, but saw a person standing by a small road off in the distance. It was Yi Mo. Li Mumei recognized Yi Mo straight away. He seemed a little emaciated. He stood at the road, not moving an inch, as though a statue, standing there for eternity. His eyes were fixed on an office on the 8th floor. Li Mumei's heart shook. She knew that Yi Mo came to see Ning Qingxue, but she had already finished work. He really had changed. She could no longer associate the current Yi Mo with the abandoned son from before. Perhaps since meeting Yi Mo at Su Jingwen's birthday party, he had changed. Thinking about Ning Qingshue's cold expression, Li Mumei could no longer resist knowing and not telling. She had to tell Ning Qingxue. If she didn't, perhaps many years later Ning Qingxue would hate her for life. Qingxue must have cared about Yi Mo too much and not have wanted to forget him. That's why when she was about to die, she enveloped her memories. That was because she loved Yi Mo too much. Master Wu Guang is right. It must be like this. I don't understand why Qingxue would know ancient martial arts, but I can ask Yi Mo. Thinking about this, Li Mumei opened the car door and was going to talk to Yi Mo, but when she looked at where he had been standing, it was empty. Yi Mo was nowhere to be seen. Yi Mo jumped up to the window he had jumped off last time. He didn't need to go up and only needed to scan from down there to know that Ning Qingxue had left. Nonetheless, he looked at her office in a daze. So what if Ning Qingxue wasn't in her office? Even if she had been, what could he have done? Yi Mo sighed and turned to leave. Although Yi Mo had already left, Li Mumei still made up her mind to tell Ning Qingxue everything she knew. Even if she didn't care about those memories, even if Ning Qingshue's mother would blame her, she would still say it. Having made up her mind, she drove to Ning Qingshue's place. Li Mumei opened Ning Qingshue's room and saw her stand by the window. She was holding her chest and looking into the distant buildings in a daze. Li Mumei suddenly realized that Ning Qingshue's gaze was similar to Yi Mo's. Mumei, you're here! Ning Qingxue turned around and filled a cup with water for Li Mumei. Li Mumei hesitated for a while before biting her lips and saying, Qingxue, I don't know if I should tell you, but if you really don't want to know, I won't say it. If you do, I will tell you everything I know. Ning Qingxue sat down and also poured herself some tea before saying slowly, Is this about me and Yi Mo? MHM, Li Mumei nodded. Although in your memory you feel disgusted about him, a lot happened in between. I don't know if I should say it, and I don't know if you will care. Ning Qingxue sunk into a long silence before saying, In fact, I don't feel disgusted about him. I just feel that we're impossible. I know why Yi Mo came up last time, but I won't believe it. Besides, I know Yi Mo's character very well. I won't like someone like him. Although I simply don't like him, my mom detests him. Last time, she even kneeled to him for me. I don't want to see him, and I don't want to think about him. I am me. He is him. There is nothing between us. Li Mumei stared at Ning Qingxue for a long time before saying, Qingxue, is that really how you feel? If it is, I won't mention him again, and I will also forget about all of it. Ning Qingxue hesitated. Her attitude wasn't as adamant as the first time. When Li Mumei asked a second time, she wavered. Even though she was sure she wouldn't like Yi Mo, someone with nothing good about him, she still had the subtle feeling that her heartache was related to Yi Mo. Every time someone mentioned this name, or whenever she thought about the name, she had that heartache feeling. She even felt this necklace of hers was related to Yi Mo, since every time she felt pain, she would just feel the necklace and the pain would slowly disappear. Qingxue, you didn't turn around just then. But how did you know it was me and not Auntie? Li Mumei suddenly thought of this. Ning Qingxue was dazed. Yeah, just then, she knew it was Mumei without turning around. Also, there were many times in the office where you didn't even look up, yet still knew if it was me or Xiaoyu. Although you could judge by our footsteps, but even when they sound very light, you are still able to tell. So, I really suspect that you have learnt ancient martial arts, Li Mumei said dubiously. Ning Qingxue sighed and looked at Li Mumei. Mumei, tell me about Yi Mo and I. I really don't believe there could be anything between us. After hesitating for a moment, Ning Qingxue said, Mumei, no matter what, don't tell my mother about our conversation today. Li Mumei nodded. I know. Even if you hadn't said anything, I wouldn't have told her. Li Mumei didn't know why Ning Qingxue would suddenly change her mind, but she had already been wanting to tell her about this subject. Since Ning Qingxue had changed her mind, she wouldn't have to pretend she doesn't know anything. Li Mumei didn't know why Ning Qingxue would suddenly change her mind, but she had already been wanting to tell her about this subject. Since Ning Qingxue had changed her mind, she wouldn't have to pretend she doesn't know anything. However, Li Mumei asked instead, Qingxue, if we were still in Beijing, and if the Song family were as strong as before, if that Song Shaoan would force you to marry him, what would you do? Ning Qingxue hadn't expected Li Mumei to say this. If that were indeed the case, then she really wouldn't know what to do. The power of the Song family wasn't something their Ning family could compare with. The Ning family was nothing compared to the Song family. If the Song family were still like before, then even if her whole family were to come to Yu State, they would only need one word, and their family would be doomed. Ning Qingxue sighed. Although she didn't answer Li Mumei's words, she still felt relieved. Luckily, the Song family was over. She knew how much Song Shaoan had wanted her. It was her luck that the Song family had gone down. Before, Song Shaoan wanted to force a marriage with you, and other than your parents who didn't know. All the Ning family members agreed without telling your parents. However, your cousin Ning Yang secretly told you about it. And I happened to be there as well, Li Mumei said slowly. That happened. Ning Qingxue was dazed. She knew that Song Shaoan didn't have good intentions for her, but understood that big families like the Song family cared about their face. She already had a marriage pact with Yi Mo, so it was unlikely they would intervene. She didn't expect that to have happened. Li Mumei continued. At the time you were very helpless as well, because everyone knew that if the Song family proposed, the Ning family wouldn't be able to reject. Ning Qingxue fell silent. Although she knew she hadn't married Song Shaoan, she still felt a little scared now. Then I proposed that you marry Yi Mo and live with him. At the time you agreed. Coincidentally, Yi Mo rented a house in Ninghai, so we moved over, Li Mumei continued. Ning Qingxue said slowly. So that's how I met him. But wouldn't the Song family exact their revenge on him? At the time, I was also afraid that Yi Mo would be targeted by the Song family. But I still persuaded Yu Sing that the Song family wouldn't do such a shameless thing, Li Mumei sighed. She knew that even if the Song family didn't take action against Yi Mo, Song Shaoan would. Yet, she didn't mention that at the time. She didn't know how Yi Mo had resolved the situation, nor how Song Shaoan had suddenly died. Li Mumei looked at Ning Qingxue, who was still in disbelief, and said, Later on, I spread your photos with Yi Mo online and made a marriage certificate for you two. Then you moved in with Yi Mo. As for what happened between you two, I don't know, but 20 or so days later, Song Shaoan suddenly crashed and died at midnight. I went to Ninghai to pick you up and was planning for you to divorce Yi Mo. But before you left, you saw a small medical case. When you opened it, you rushed into the room and closed the door. I heard you crying, but I couldn't open the door. Ning Qingxue looked at Li Mumei in disbelief. Why would that be? Li Mumei shook her head. I also don't know. But after a long time, you finally opened the door and hugged that medical case. Ever since that day, that little case has never left your sight. But since that moment, you adamantly refused divorcing Yimo and stayed in Ninghai. Afterwards, when your parents came to visit you, you still didn't want to leave Ninghai. You're saying that I'm still Yimo's legal wife. Ning Qingxue was completely shocked. How could things be like this? She was actually married. Li Mumei nodded and said, Yes, you are indeed his wife in a legal sense. What about that small case? Ning Qingxue asked. Li Mumei answered, Ever since you were injured a second time, that small case was left in Ninghai. Although you bought the house Yimo rented before, you never went back to see it again. In Ninghai. Ning Qingxue frowned and asked again, Why was I injured for the first and second time? Li Mumei shook her head. You need to ask Su Wei about exactly why. Su Wei was by your side both times. She had been living in that house before. She was renting with Yimo Su Wei. Ning Qingxue thought of this name, but couldn't remember anything. Li Mumei saw that Ning Qingxue really couldn't remember anything, so she could only continue. After Song Shaowen died, the Song family hunted Yimo. You even went to Flowing Snake to search for him and went to the desert with Qi Wanqing. I also know that you went to Shen Nongjia, but I don't know if that was related to Yimo. Who is Qi Wanqing? Ning Qingxue found that more and more strangers had been involved. She's in the army and went to do a mission in the borderlands. She met Yimo there. I think she also likes Yimo and wanted to find him. However, somehow you two met and went to the desert together. Li Mumei only knew approximately what had happened. Ning Qingxue was even more confused. Someone like that liked Yimo? As though noticing Ning Qingxue's confusion, Li Mumei breathed calmly and said, No matter what decision you make, I feel much better after getting it off my chest. At least my heart can rest easy. Otherwise, I would feel I'm doing you wrong. Qingxue, no matter what, I think the past is in the past. If you still want to find those memories, you can go to Ninghai and ask Su Wei and Su Jingwen. They know some things. If you don't want to continue wondering, then stop thinking about it. Ning Qingxue nodded and said, Mumei, I know you wouldn't lie to me. I feel very indifferent in terms of emotions. Perhaps Master Wu Guang is right. The moment before I almost died, I really must have sealed all my emotions in my soul. No matter what, I will go to Ninghai once. Maybe you're right. No, Qingxue, you're not indifferent because you sealed your memories. I understand you. For some time, I felt you were more stubborn than anyone when it comes to feelings. When you didn't like someone, you tended to be very cold. But if you did like someone, that person would be your everything. You would be willing to give them anything, including your life. Perhaps you're such an emotional extremist. That's why your mom doesn't want you to remember that past. Li Mumei shook her head. Hearing Li Mumei's words, Ning Qingxue sunk into silence. She felt Li Mumei was right. She was that sort of person. What had really happened between her and Yimo? She remembered that time Yimo spat blood in her mother's office. If there really was nothing between the two of them, why would he be like that? Despite how real all of this sounded, Ning Qingxue still didn't dare believe that there had been something between her and Yimo, or that she might have fallen in love with him. That sounded impossible. She believed that she had been using Yimo, and that that's why she had married him. It had nothing to do with love. No to mention, it had been less than a month. Even if Yimo was suave and had written 100 love letters to her each day, she wouldn't have had any good impression of such a young master, much less loved him. Mumei, thanks for telling me this. Although I know you wouldn't lie to me, I will still go ask Su Wei. Ning Qingxue had made up her mind. No matter whether this was real or fake, she had to face it. She had never expected that she would be Yimo's wife. If Li Mumei hadn't told her today, she wouldn't have known about it at all. So, after she had clearly investigated things, she would still divorce. However, she felt a little regretful for having made Emo spit blood. Whether or not she used him, she was still his legal wife. Li Mumei's face showed happiness, and she quickly asked, "Then, Qingxue, are you going to Ninghai or Flowing Snake first?" "Let's go to Flowing Snake first. But before I go, I heard that the Luoyu Corporation is going to announce some very significant news. So let's have a look at their official website later. Let's not miss anything. The beauty pill is also very important to our corporation. Even now our sales continue to slip. If we go on like this, our corporation will face extreme difficulties. So even if we can't cooperate with Luoyu, we still need to research the recipe for the beauty pill and try to make our own product. I believe that there are a lot of people trying to do this." Ning Qingxue set aside her other thoughts and said seriously, "Let's go to Flowing Snake first. But before I go, I heard that the Luoyu Corporation is going to announce some very significant news. So let's have a look at their official website later. Let's not miss anything. The beauty pill is also very important to our corporation. Even now our sales continue to slip. If we go on like this, our corporation will face extreme difficulties. So even if we can't cooperate with Luoyu, we still need to research the recipe for the beauty pill and try to make our own product. I believe that there are a lot of people trying to do this." Ning Qingxue set aside her other thoughts and said seriously. Li Mumei nodded. "Yes, however, our technology is weak. Many other pharmaceutical companies and research laboratories are already researching the beauty pill. We must hurry. Hold on, I'll have a look at their website first." "Huh?" Li Mumei yelled in shock at the website. Ning Qingxue immediately asked, "What's wrong?" The Fei Corporation was facing a difficult situation. They had no new products, and the old market's competition was too big. There was no profit they could earn there. If they went on to research new products now, they would be short on money and time while taking a big risk. Therefore, the new and blooming Luoyu Corporation became the only thing that could save Feiyu. But whether it was Ning Qingxue or Li Mumei, they both knew that other companies would be thinking the same thing. More than that, many renowned companies in the world had been refused partnership. Their business was smaller in scale and far from those international big pharmaceutical companies. They only had a very thin sliver of hope, but even so, Li Mumei was still shocked. If this sliver of hope was taken away by other companies, their corporation would have no hope at all, so she was very anxious. Li Mumei said shakily, "Qingxue, in 3 days, Luoyu will be holding a conference looking for partners. But their requirements must be satisfied." Ning Qingxue immediately asked, "What requirements do they have? What are the limitations?" Li Mumei answered, "They're looking for partners based on location. 1 in Africa, 1 in Europe and America, and 2 in Asia. The pharmaceutical industry of Africa isn't even developed. Why is there a spot for them?" Why do the 2 developed continents, Europe and America, only have 1? This is odd. Looking at the requirements, Li Mumei felt strange. But soon, both of their hearts sunk. Luoyu was looking into the partnership in Asia, and there were only 2 spots. And amongst all the corporations, Feiyu could barely make it into the top 200 in Asia. It could be seen that their chances were very slim. What do we do? Qingxue, are we still going to Beijing? Li Mumei asked disappointedly. Ning Qingxue bit her lips, her beautiful face having a persevering look. If she missed this opportunity, their corporation wouldn't last much longer. Her parents had already been staying in an American pharmaceutical company for almost half a month for their business, but they didn't seem very interested at all. We go, why wouldn't we go? Although our chances are very slim, this is still an opportunity. If we miss it, our future will be even dimmer. Perhaps we won't get a spot, but maybe we can contact a company that gets a spot and then work under them, Ning Qingxue said confidently. Just when she had finished talking, the phone in the room rang. Ning Qingxue quickly picked it up. It was a call from her mother in America, but she only spoke a few words and hung up. Qingshue's face looked bad. Qingxue, did the business negotiations in America not go too well? Li Mumei could judge the situation by the look on Ning Qingshue's face. She nodded despondently. Yes, we went to have serious negotiations with them, but they just sent a random person to deal with us. My parents will be going to Beijing in 2 days. We will go meet up with them there. Li Mumei nodded. Then I'll prepare the things for the conference. Ning Qingxue was of the opinion that their corporation could only look for an opportunity at the conference. Although she also knew that the chances were slim, she still decided to support Ning Qingxue. Mumei, have a walk outside with me. Ning Qingxue stood up fatiguely. She knew that the corporation was named after her parents. Not only did it contain their devotion, it was also the source of income for their family. Now, her family was no longer a part of the Beijing Ning family, but had become independent. They had invested all of their savings into Fei Yu Corporation. Once something happened to Fei Yu Corporation, their family would have to face the difficulties of survival. So, Ning Qingxue was also very worried when the sales of the corporation started to decline rapidly. Yi Mo heard that the beauty pill was being talked about everywhere. Almost everyone was discussing the new company, and finally he felt a little relieved. It would seem that Zhang Jiayan and company were managing Luoyu quite well. At least up until now, it seemed successful. However, Yi Mo knew that no matter which company sold the beauty pill, it would be a success no matter what. It was a cultivation pill modified into the beauty pill. Although its effect wasn't even 1% of the original, it was still thousands of times better than normal beauty products. Yi Mo originally wanted to stay a night in Yu State, but now decided to go to Flowing Snake. He wondered how Zhang Jiayan was doing with the herbs he had told him to collect. Yu State was a very big place in China and was very prosperous. Yet now, Yi Mo seemed a little lost standing on this busy street. There were nightclubs with colorful lights not far off, with men and women coming and going incessantly. In this world, there were always some people who used this kind of place to numb themselves or seek a life here. Yi Mo shook his head and wanted to leave. A woman whose body wasn't that good walked into the nightclub and happened to be scanned by Yi Mo's spirit sense. The moment he scanned this woman, he almost lost his mind. Luo Xian. But immediately, Yi Mo knew it couldn't be Luo Xian. If it was her, she definitely wouldn't be going to nightclubs. Also, Luo Xian was with her martial sister. She wouldn't be here alone. Besides, Luo Xian's body was countless times better than this woman's. But then why did he get the feeling that this woman was Luo Xian? Yi Mo's spirit sense turned back. It was a very average-looking woman, and so was her body. But soon Yi Mo realized that this woman had been disguised, and he seemed to have seen this disguising technique somewhere before. After thinking for a brief moment, Yi Mo figured out who this woman was. She had the same qi as Luo Xian and her big martial sister. This meant this woman cultivated the same cultivation method as Luo Xian. Other than Luo Xian's second martial sister, who else could it be? Her masquerading means were similar to Luo Xian's big martial sister, and she had about black-level primary stage power. This woman was for sure Luo Xian's second martial sister. Yi Mo had once told Luo Xian that the one who had ambushed her and her big martial sister might have possibly been her second martial sister. He hadn't expected to see this woman here. Yi Mo almost couldn't believe it. Regardless of whether this woman had ambushed her martial sisters or not, why would a woman with such a high-level cultivation method be at this sort of venue? He was simply too bewildered. Yi Mo didn't want to care about the three sisters' business, but he really did have a good impression of Luo Xian. Since he saw her second martial sister here, he might as well go and see what's going on. Since she had gotten the Ni Luo Sutra, why would she still go to such a venue in disguise? Plus, The Enai Luo Sutra was Luo Xian's. If he could take it, he would. Thinking like that, Yemo no longer hesitated and also walked into this nightclub while locking onto that woman with his spirit sense. Li Mumei was also looking dazedly at a nightclub not far away. She knew what sort of place that was. Euphemistically speaking, it was a high-class entertainment center. Strictly speaking, it was a brothel. The reason she was looking dumbly at this place was because she had seen Yemo walk in there. She of course knew that person was Yemo, because a few hours ago she had still seen Yemo stand underneath their building. But it was only a few hours later that he walked into a brothel. The difference was too huge. Ning Qingxue followed Li Mumei's eyes and also happened to see Emo disappear into the nightclub. She frowned and looked at Li Mumei, confirming, "Mumei, that was Emo who just went in, right?" Li Mumei nodded bitterly. "Yes, that's Emo. When I finished work, I saw him standing outside the building looking at your office. I wouldn't have expected him to go there shortly afterwards. I think he's a little lonely." Li Mumei nodded bitterly. "Yes, that's Emo. When I finished work, I saw him standing outside the building looking at your office. I wouldn't have expected him to go there shortly afterwards. I think he's a little lonely." Ning Qingxue didn't say anything, so Li Mumei spoke again. "Qingxue, you already saw Emo. Are you still going to Ninghai? Or how about we go into that nightclub and see?" Ning Qingxue nodded calmly. "Yes, I'm still going to go. I've thought about it, and I do want to retrieve those memories. It has nothing to do with him. As for going to that nightclub, I don't think it's necessary." "What's that got to do with me?" Ning Qingxue wasn't lying. When she saw Emo go into the nightclub, she really felt very calm, because in her heart Emo was that sort of person. The only strange thing was that, according to her impression of him, Emo shouldn't be the type to go in there. Although she didn't care, thinking about how she was legally his wife, she no longer had the mood to continue strolling. Instead, she said to Li Mumei, "Mumei, I'm a bit tired, let's go back." Yemo's spirit sense was so focused on that woman that he didn't notice Ning Qingxue and Li Mumei. After entering this nightclub, Emo found a seat near the edge and sat down. As soon as he sat down, a girl wearing very little walked over. Although she looked not bad, under the scan of Yemo's spirit sense it became apparent that that was just a build-up of all sorts of powders. "Get me a cup of beer. I'll call you if I need anything else. For now, don't come and disturb me. If you say one extra word, I'm leaving." Before this girl could say anything, Emo threw a few $100s at her and shut her up. The girl quickly gulped down the words she was going to say, packed the money from the table, and brought a beer over. Sending away the girl, Emo spread out his spirit sense. There were very few people who really came here to eat and drink. Most people only came for one purpose. From the second to the fourth floor, other than a few rooms that actually had karaoke, most rooms displayed all sorts of nude trades. Emo was not interested in watching these. He locked his spirit sense onto the woman on the fifth floor. He was sure that woman was Luo Xian's second martial sister. Emo really wanted to know why the second martial sister would try to kill her martial sister just for a book. Their relationship had been a very close one. If he could find the Enai Luo Sutra, he wouldn't mind taking it away. This was Luo Xian's possession. Regardless of whether it had any worth or not, if he saw it, he wouldn't let it slip away right in front of him. This woman went into a room on the fifth floor. After closing the door, she sat for a long time before walking in front of a mirror and looking at her face. It was disguised indeed. Emo didn't see the Enai Luo Sutra, but he did see a soft sword at her waist. It was hooked onto her waist like a belt. Soon Emo also found that there was something wrong with her body. Her waist appeared to be red. She was injured, and the wound was quite serious. Who had injured her? Emo scanned his spirit sense around the fifth floor and realized the fifth floor was obviously different from the floors below. There were some customers here as well. but the girls who served them were not only prettier than the girls below, but also much younger. Noticing this, Yi Mo got even more confused. Based on the looks of her disguise, she shouldn't be able to come to the 5th floor. So why was she living here? This woman took off her jacket and took out some surveillance equipment. Yi Mo checked it out using his spirit sense. The screen showed the front door of the nightclub. Even Yi Mo had to commend this woman. If she was really Luo Xian's second martial sister, her adaptability was too quick. How long had she been out of the small world for? Yet, she already knew how to use surveillance equipment. A middle-aged man with a pot belly, holding a black bag, walked into the nightclub. He came straight to the front desk. CEO Chen, I missed you so much. Haven't seen you for days. Come, I'll give you a massage to help relieve your fatigue. A very exotic woman walked out. When she saw this pot-belly CEO Chen, her eyes started gleaming. Yi Mo imagined that in her eyes this fat man must probably be a good money-milking cow. CEO Chen laughed, squished the woman's chest, and spanked her ass before saying, Little ho, I don't need you today. I want Princess Fei Fei. Afterwards, he stashed a few $100s inside the woman's bra. The woman wasn't all too happy hearing CEO Cheng's words, but seeing these couple $100, she immediately smiled. Oh, that's a pity. Fei Fei just came back today. I'll call her phone for you. She called for a long time, but no one picked up. Helpless, the woman said to a young girl next to her, Lon Lon, take CEO Cheng to Fei Fei. Seeing Lon Lon and CEO Cheng leave, the exotic woman said to another woman at the bar, Fei Fei has neither looks nor body. I really don't know how she went up to the 5th floor. This fatty Cheng is truly blind. How can he like such a woman? In what way am I less than her? The other woman at the bar looked around before saying quietly, Sister Long, you mustn't let Sister Na hear that. I heard that Sister Na brought Fei Fei in. You need to be careful. I know, I just feel uncomfortable. The exotic woman's voice obviously quietened down. Despite sitting far away, Yi Mo heard all of this clearly. He couldn't help but sigh. Every career had competition, but he didn't agree to the exotic woman's words. Putting aside looks, that Luo Xian's second martial sister's temperament was much higher than this woman's. That fatty Cheng had good eyes to pick Fei Fei. He must be very experienced. Yi Mo's spirit sense scanned the 5th floor again. That girl, called Fei Fei, immediately packed away the surveillance screen and put on her clothes while going to stand at the door. When the fat man came, she immediately welcomed him in joyfully. Fei Fei might have been average-looking, but when the fat man saw her, his eyes were smiling. Yi Mo witnessed Fei Fei close the door and casually pour a drink for the CEO Chen. He didn't even look at it and just drank it all. Afterwards, though, his eyes immediately became blurry, and he stared lecherously at Fei Fei as though, in his eyes, she were completely nude already. Soon, he lay down on the bed. However, Fei Fei clicked a few chakra points on him, took out an inflatable toy, and dumped it on the bed. Then, she pulled the blanket over CEO Chang, an inflatable doll. Yi Mo found her actions to be very experienced and rapid. It seemed this wasn't her first time doing this. After that, Fei Fei went into a room inside and opened her clothes, showing her snow-white waist. Yi Mo noticed that there was a sword wound on her waist indeed, and it seemed very deep. She took out some powders and dipped them on before putting her clothes back on. She stood by the door and appeared very tired. Yi Mo frowned. Right when he thought about going up and questioning her, he found another man entering the nightclub. He was in his 30s and his hair was a little long. Still, he was very handsome except for his face being a little pale. As soon as the man walked in, he caught the attention of a few girls. However, the man gave a push and all the girls who rushed to him were pushed away. Yi Mo saw him close his eyes as though feeling something. Immediately, he knew that the man had come here looking for someone. He was black level middle stage and was probably from the hidden sections. Other than Fei Fei, he couldn't find anyone else here who cultivated ancient martial arts. Yimo's spirit sense scanned Fei Fei. At this moment, she stood up and stared at the surveillance device in her hand with a face of anger. But just a moment later, she jumped out of the window and crawled down the air conditioner. Yi Mo didn't go after Fei Fei. Since this handsome man could find her, it meant he had a lead on Fei Fei. He had probably marked her. A moment later, the man suddenly opened his eyes and charged out of the building. Yi Mo knew that he had probably figured out where Fei Fei had been. 2 guards who wanted to stop the man were kicked far away. Yi Mo didn't follow. He walked out of the nightclub instead. He was waiting for the man to chase her down and then be the yellow bird behind the praying mantis. As expected, Yi Mo noticed the man charge into Fei Fei's room and kick open the door, plucking the blanket away without hesitation. CEO Chung was still hugging an inflatable dummy. In contrast, this young man had a face full of anger. He took out a short dagger from his chest and hacked down without hesitation. Poor CEO Chung. He didn't even understand what was going on before becoming a ghost. Thereafter, the young man jumped out of the window and chased in a certain direction. Yi Mo immediately followed as well. This young man's speed was very fast, and it kept getting faster. Yi Mo was certain that if he went to a marathon, he would get first place, no doubt. This speed was faster than cars in busy districts. However, it was far inferior to Yi Mo's. This young man's speed was very fast, and it kept getting faster. Yi Mo was certain that if he went to a marathon, he would get first place, no doubt. This speed was faster than cars in busy districts. However, it was far inferior to Yi Mo's. Yi Mo could see that the man did indeed have a mark from how he kept on stopping. 1 hour later, they had gone out of the Yu State City District and into the Dahong Mountain region. Dahong Mountain was a small mountain outside of Yu State. Yi Mo was sure that this Fei Fei probably knew she couldn't escape and therefore wanted to use the Dahong Mountain for her escape. This woman was really dumb, since she had been chased for so long, and the pursuer knew exactly where she was. Even an idiot would know she had been marked, yet she didn't remove the mark. Although outside of Dahong Mountain the streets were busy with people similarly to Yu State City, but after going inside, there were no signs of human life. The area seemed open. The man finally stopped in a valley and looked at a rock a few hundred meters away and said, "Fei Fei, come out." Yi Mo was shocked. Even he couldn't scan his spirit, sense a few hundred meters out, but this youth could sense her. He really wondered what sort of mark he had used. It could even compare to his spirit sense mark. Indeed, a woman came out from behind the rock. It was that woman from the nightclub. From her fatigued look, however, Yi Mo knew that being able to run here had been her limit. "Fei Fei, what can't we talk about between the two of us? Why did you have to hide from me for months on end?" The handsome young man said helplessly when he saw the woman come out. Fei Fei sneered and just pulled out the sword from around her waist and said coldly to the young guy, "Chielin, I was really blind to love a scum like you. Stop pretending. If you want to kill me, then do it, but don't put on that disgusting face." So this man was called Chi Yunlin, and Luo Fei was indeed Luo Xian's second martial sister. From what she said, they seemed to be lovers who ended up fighting each other, Yi Mo thought. Chi Yunlin frowned and said, "Fei Fei, I just want you to show me the Ni Luo Sutra. I wasn't going to do anything to you, and I don't want that book either. Besides, what's the difference between what is yours and what is mine? You're already my woman. And even if you weren't, I wouldn't do anything to you. But you wouldn't even trust me about this, and hid the Ni Luo Sutra instead." Luo Fei said sardonically, "Chi Yulin, stop pretending. I regret only 2 things in my life. One was to harm my sisters for a dog, and the other is to like a trash like you. I was blind. I didn't take the Ni Luo Sutra, and even if I had, I wouldn't hand it over to you. Chi Yuling, give up. Qi Yuling heard Luo Fei's words, and his face turned bad. He said bleakly, Fei, I don't know why you have such a negative perception of me, but I know we won't be able to return to where we were before. We can only live outside for the rest of our lives. So, I want you to put aside those thoughts and come with me. Stop hiding around. Go with you? Qi Yunlin, you wretched hypocrite. If it wasn't because you haven't gotten the Ni Luo Sutra yet, you would have killed me already. I don't know what you did to me before, but do you have the guts to swear that those who attacked me have nothing to do with you? Do you dare? If I hadn't been careful, I would have been killed a few hours ago. I don't mind my life, but there are still things I care about. Luo Fei couldn't control her emotions. Qi Yulin heard this, yet his expression actually calmed down. Fei, since you want to think that way, I can't do anything about it. Yes, the people who stopped you were sent by me, but I didn't order them to kill you. It's up to you to believe it or not. Fei, if you believe me, take out the Ni Luo Sutra and we can find a peaceful place to live in for the rest of our lives. Unexpectedly, Luo Fei dropped down her head, and even her sword sunk down as though touched by Qi Yulin's proposal. Seeing this, Qi Yulin quickly went up and said, Fei, the heavens and earth can see my heart for you. I truly want to live with you for the rest of my life, but I'm afraid news would get out, so I swear I could never believe you again, so you can go die. Luo Fei suddenly jumped up, and her soft sword turned into sword rays, piercing towards Qi Yulin's chest. Qi Yulin didn't seem to have expected that Luo Fei would attack him and even try to kill him. In his heart, even if the heavens fell, Luo Fei would only be annoyed at him at most. He believed that Luo Fei still loved him, and very deeply so, but reality turned out to be the opposite. Qi Yulin quickly sidestepped, but even so, the sword still passed through his ribs. After Qi Yulin was hurt, he became remorseless and kicked Luo Fei in the stomach. Luo Fei flew away and landed on the ground. She spat blood from her mouth, and as though realizing she wasn't going to make it, she smiled. Qi Yulin ate a pill and opened his clothes, pouring some powder on it. It didn't seem he was injured very seriously, but he just felt furious that Luo Fei had dared attack him. Luo Fei looked at Qi Yulin and jeered before murmuring, Sorry that I attacked you, Sister Luo Xian, but I didn't go all out. I know you and Big Martial Sister suspect that I wanted to kill you, but I really did not. Qi Yulin suddenly yelled, Bitch, you rubbed poison on your sword. Even if I don't get the Ni Luo Sutra, I will still kill you. But at this moment, Luo Fei had already fallen unconscious onto the ground. She couldn't hear a word he had said. Yi Mo was confused. From their conversation, it would appear Luo Fei didn't take the Ni Luo Sutra at all. Although she wanted to help Qi Yulin, she didn't deal killing blows to her martial sister. This meant that even if Luo Xian hadn't reached black level, Luo Fei's palm wouldn't have been able to kill her. On top of that, it also seemed that the injuries the Big Martial Sister had sustained weren't related to Luo Fei. What was going on? If that was the case, then who took the Ni Luo Sutra? Qi Yulin struggled in front of Luo Fei and wanted to kill her, but he stopped. He saw that someone suddenly appeared in front of him. Who are you? Qi Yulin looked at Yi Mo with a purple face. It could be seen that he was poisoned seriously. Yi Mo said plainly, Answer a few questions of mine, and perhaps I can give you a quick death. Firstly, did you attack Luo Xian's Big Martial Sister? And were you the one who poisoned her? Secondly, the Ni Luo Sutra. Did you seduce Luo Fei for it? Qi Yulin had a hideous smile and raised his sword, wanting to attack Yi Mo. Yi Mo raised his finger and pointed at his forehead. Qi Yulin's face went blank, and he soon replied, I didn't ambush Luo Xian's Big Martial Sister, nor did I get the Ni Luo Sutra. I made arrangements with Luo Fei to knock out Luo Yin, and I didn't even meet her before she came back to the temple. I made contact with Luo Fei so I could get news about the Ni Luo Sutra from her. Yi Mo still wanted to ask a few questions, but Luo Fei's poison was too potent. Qi Yulin's eyes soon returned to normal, and he understood what had just happened. Shock flashed across his face, and he fell down to the floor. He was already dead. What a potent poison! Yi Mo glanced at Qi Yulin, who had gotten completely black, and turned him into ashes with a fireball. A black dot wanted to run out from Qi Yulin's body, but was burned away too. There was a goo in Qi Yulin's body, but Yi Mo didn't mind. There seemed to be a huge difference between this one and the one he had met last time. Luo Xian's big martial sister didn't seem to have been ambushed by Qi Yulin. What had happened then? Combined with the Ni Luo Sutra being lost, Yi Mo felt more and more confused. At the time, only Luo Xian and her big martial sister had been in the Yinghua Temple. Luo Fei conspired with Qi Yulin for the Ni Luo Sutra, so there are 3 people in there. According to Yi Mo's guess, after Luo Fei found out that Luo Xian had gotten the Ni Luo Sutra, she used an excuse to go out to tell Qi Yulin. Then, one of the 2 hid outside, and another went into the Yinghua Temple. Afterwards, when Luo Xian's big martial sister went into the Yinghua Temple, she was ambushed by Qi Yulin. From Luo Xian's point of view, that was what happened as well. But then Luo Fei, who had hidden in the temple, ambushed Luo Xian and stole the Ni Luo Sutra, after which Luo Xian's big martial sister woke up and took Luo Xian to escape. Now, however, Yi Mo knew that wasn't what had happened. Qi Yulin didn't ambush Luo Xian's big martial sister, and Luo Fei didn't take the Ni Luo Sutra. The reality was this different from what he had thought. Now he could only wake up Luo Fei and then ask her. Luo Fei was Luo Xian's second martial sister and had had no intention of killing her. Yi Mo therefore no longer had the will to kill her. Luo Fei was Luo Xian's second martial sister and had had no intention of killing her. Yi Mo therefore no longer had the will to kill her. A Lotus Life pill would have immediately healed up Luo Fei's injuries, but Yi Mo didn't like this sort of woman, so he didn't want to use such a precious pill on her. He casually grabbed her and wanted to take her to a quieter place to ask questions. However, as soon as Yi Mo grabbed her, he immediately noticed that she also had a goo planted in her. Yi Mo forced it out of her body in a casual manner. It seemed similar to the goo in Qi Yulin's body. Yi Mo finally understood why Luo Fei hadn't been able to run away from Qi Yulin. He planted a heart-linked goo in her. Yi Mo shook his head. Although this Luo Fei was cunning and learned things fast, she was still too inexperienced and not much better than Luo Xian. Yi Mo took Luo Fei to a more far-off place and dumped her on the ground. Luo Fei slowly woke up. When she saw Yi Mo, she immediately grabbed the soft sword near her and looked vigilantly at Yi Mo. "Who are you? Where's Qi Yulin?" Yi Mo said plainly, "Who I am isn't important. Your poison is very strong. Qi Yulin is already dead." Hearing that Qi Yulin had died, there was a strange look in Luo Fei's eyes. She seemed sad, but at the same time relieved. She looked around, and it didn't seem like the place she had been before. From the calm look on Yi Mo's face, as if knowing everything that had happened, it was obvious that it would be very easy for him to kill her. He must have brought her here. Thinking about this, Luo Fei put away her sword. "What do you want to ask? If it's something I can say, I will tell you." Luo Fei didn't ask who Yi Mo was. She knew that if he didn't tell her, she couldn't do anything about it. If Yi Mo asked some things she couldn't answer, then she would rather die. The moment that she was caught by Qi Yulin, she had never planned on living anyway. She was a smart woman. Yi Mo nodded and said, "I'm a friend of Luo Xian's." "What?" Luo Fei quickly looked up and asked desperately, "What happened to her? Where is she?" As though knowing she didn't have the right to ask about Luo Xian, her voice quietened down. "You ambushed her and almost killed her, so now you have no right to ask about her," Yi Mo said plainly. Hearing Yimo's words, Luo Fei felt a little relieved. The way this man put it meant that Luo Xian was fine. She breathed and looked mindlessly at Yimo. It's good that Luo Xian is okay. I didn't want to kill her. What do you have to ask? I know I'm no match for you, but I just hope you aren't tricking someone who's about to die. Yimo smiled and took out a jade bottle. This is Luo Xian's bottle. Do you believe me now? Don't worry, though, I won't kill you. She actually gave this bottle to you. Luo Fei murmured and suddenly said seriously, Luo Xian is very innocent. She gave her most cherished bottle to you, so I hope you won't mistreat her. If Luo Xian told you to ask me, then ask. Yimo frowned. What's this got to do with mistreating or not? But he still said, You are Luo Xian's second martial sister, right? Are you sure that the Ni Luo Sutra isn't on you? Yes, I had been preparing to take the Ni Luo Sutra, but then when I was actually going to, I realized it was already gone. Luo Fei shook her head. Luo Fei had indeed not taken it, but now Yimo was more confused. If Luo Fei hadn't taken it, then it could only be the big martial sister who did. If Luo Xian had taken it, she wouldn't need to say it. However, if the big martial sister had already taken the Ni Luo Sutra, then why would she hide it and be heavily injured as well? Yimo looked at Luo Fei and ordered, Tell me everything about how you ambushed your martial sisters. Perhaps then I will know who took the Ni Luo Sutra. Luo Fei nodded and said, When I gave myself to him, I had made up my mind to go with him for the rest of my life. He told me that I had no need to go back, that he just wanted to find a quiet place and live with me for the rest of my life. Speaking up to there, Luo Fei had a wishful look in her eyes, but they soon dulled. She continued, But he said he just really wanted to see what the Ni Luo Sutra looked like. So that day, when Luo Xian said she got the Ni Luo Sutra, my first reaction was to go find him and let him see it. I was afraid that little martial sister wouldn't agree. Hence, I went out of Yinghua Temple before calling him. He said he would come immediately. Not long after, he was there. However, he had a worried look on his face. I asked him what was wrong, and he replied that my big martial sister Luo Yin wouldn't let him see it, so he was a little worried and disappointed. I knew he was right. If big martial sister knew about it, she definitely wouldn't let him check it out, because big martial sister detested him. But I really wanted to satisfy his wish. Then, did you ambush your big martial sister with Qi Yulin? Yimo interrupted. Luo Fei shook her head. No, I would never ambush my big martial sister, but at that time he was my everything. I couldn't bear to see him disappointed. So I told him I would beg my big martial sister. However, he said, instead of begging her, why not knock her out first, and then have a look? Later, we can wake her up. I don't know what was going through my mind. Perhaps I just cared about him too much that I actually agreed. Afterwards, I arranged with him that I would lure my big martial sister out first, and then hide inside the temple while he knocked her out. The more Yimo listened, the less he understood. Just then, Qi Yulin had said he hadn't attacked. Why then was Luo Fei now saying that he did? Luo Fei continued, I hid outside the temple for a little while, and big martial sister came and went into the temple. After seeing her go in, I pretended to be injured and yelled for help outside. After big martial sister had come out, I quickly went inside the temple. But soon I saw her come in injured, after which she fainted. I thought he had wounded her and was afraid that Luo Xian would see, so I wanted to casually knock Luo Xian out and only then take the Ni Luo Sutra. But after you'd palmed Luo Xian, you found that the Ni Luo Sutra had disappeared too, right? Yimo said. Luo Fei nodded. Yes, I calculated at the time that that palm strike would knock Luo Xian out and wouldn't injure her. But I hadn't expected Luo Xian to have a sudden increase in power. Thus, I didn't knock her out with that attack. But she had already given up her attention on the Ni Luo Sutra. When I got the bag, the Ni Luo Sutra was gone indeed. I didn't take it. Yi Emo sunk into silence. Did Luo Xian's big martial sister really take the Anai Luo Sutra? Did she really go out immediately when she heard Luo Fei scream, injure herself, and come back into the temple? If her wounds were fake, then that might be possible. If Luo Xian's big martial sister did take it, then there are two possibilities. One was that she wanted the Anai Luo Sutra for herself. The other was that she was afraid the Anai Luo Sutra would spell danger on Luo Xian and put the danger on herself first, only telling Luo Xian later. Yi Emo thought about Luo Xian's words. She had said that her big martial sister had told her not to believe anyone, not even her big martial sister herself. Perhaps that held a truth. When Luo Ying got the Anai Luo Sutra, she might have felt guilty and said this. At the same time, she used this to make Luo Xian suspicious of Luo Fei. She arranged to meet up with Luo Xian a year later, perhaps wanting to use this year to study the Anai Luo Sutra. If this was true, then this big martial sister's calculations were too scary. Not only did she put the suspicion on Luo Fei, she also used Luo Fei to hold off Qiulin, making him think that the Anai Luo Sutra was in Luo Fei's hands. Wait, if the big martial sister really took the Anai Luo Sutra, would Luo Xian be in danger staying with her? No. Yi Emo soon realized that Luo Xian should be fine now. First of all, Luo Ying probably had some feelings for Luo Xian. Second of all, she had to make Luo Xian firmly believe that the Anai Luo Sutra was with her second martial sister. Yi Emo shook his head. Even he had been tricked. The first time when he met Luo Fei and Qiulin, he also believed that the Anai Luo Sutra was on Luo Fei. It seemed he had had a great lapse in judgment, or this Luo Ying was simply too good at finding a scapegoat. In that case, it should be certain that when Luo Fei and Qiulin had discussed about the plan, Luo Ying had already heard everything on the side, and so she used their plan for her own schemes. The only one to have been completely fooled was Luo Xian. Yi Emo shook his head. These three sisters were too strange. Although Yi Emo was sure that usually their relationship was very good, who would have thought that everyone had a secret concerning the Anai Luo Sutra? Perhaps Luo Fei and Luo Ying had thought that what they had planned was a secret. But surprisingly, it appeared that their little martial sister Luo Xian held the true secret. She had given the most precious 2 golden papers to Yi Emo, and Yi Emo was sure that Luo Xian had hidden this from her 2 martial sisters. However, Yi Emo immediately began to worry a little. Luo Xian's big martial sister wouldn't do anything to her, but what if Luo Xian found out that the Anai Luo Sutra was on Luo Ying? Then what would she do? However, Yi Emo immediately began to worry a little. Luo Xian's big martial sister wouldn't do anything to her, but what if Luo Xian found out that the Anai Luo Sutra was on Luo Ying? Then what would she do? Yi Emo was sure that Luo Xian might be killed once she became aware that the Anai Luo Sutra was on her big martial sister. He just didn't know if the big martial sister would be able to do it. Yi Emo sighed. 3 sisters eventually ended up like this, all due to a Miranai Luo Sutra. He looked sympathetically at Luo Fei and asked slowly, "Is there someone you suspect?" Luo Fei hesitated for a long time but shook her head in the end. Even if she did suspect her big martial sister, she wouldn't say it. Blood dripped along Luo Fei's leg, and Yi Emo just realized that Luo Fei's situation wasn't as positive as it seemed. It was hard to tell because there was too much makeup on her face, but from the sweat running along her forehead, the situation seemed dire. "You're having a miscarriage?" Yi Emo frowned and realized the seriousness of the issue. After hearing Luo Fei's words, he no longer had any killing intent towards her. He only had sympathy. It would seem she was too inexperienced to have actually been enchanted by that handsome and gentlemanlike Qiulin. Yi Emo shook his head, thinking that this woman was truly tragic. She had that man's seed in her and was still being hunted by him. Eventually, the child in her belly had been kicked by that man. No wonder she mentioned to Chielin that she didn't care about her life, but there was something she did care about. It was probably the child in her stomach. He thought of a certain saying, "Men are afraid of entering the wrong career, and women are afraid of marrying the wrong man." Luo Fei's situation was a classic example of following the wrong man. She sacrificed so much for him, yet he didn't even believe her and hunted her down. Yi Mo took out a lotus life pill and put it into Luo Fei's mouth. It melted upon contact, turning into endless life force while nourishing Luo Fei's body. She looked up at Yi Mo in astonishment. The moment the pill entered her body, she could tell it wasn't simple. She wouldn't have expected that he would be willing to give her such a pill when she had been the one to ambush Luo Xian. Yi Mo took out a few bottles of water, heated them a little with his qi, and put them in front of Luo Fei. Then he gave her some towels. "You can deal with it yourself. I'll be waiting for you up ahead." When Luo Fei saw the bottles of water and the towel, she was shocked even more. She clearly saw that Yi Mo didn't have any bags on him. So where did the water come from? This person was too mysterious. Compared to this, the hot water didn't mean much, because anyone who cultivated inner qi would be able to heat the water. When she came to her senses, Yi Mo had walked a long distance away. Yi Mo shook his head. He knew his heart had gone soft. This Luo Fei's encounters were too pitiful. Not only was she tricked and hunted by the man she loved, she was also completely used by her big martial sister. She didn't even dare go back now. Yi Mo sat on a rock. He was waiting for Luo Fei. Luo Fei definitely wasn't going to go back to the small world. She owed him. Hence, if he asked her some things now, she probably wouldn't reject. Luo Fei did things really slowly. Yi Mo waited for an hour, but still didn't see her come out. However, Yi Mo couldn't really use his spirit sense to check. She was having a miscarriage after all. Yi Mo didn't worry that anything would happen, though. His Lotus Life pill was enough to cure something 10 times more serious. In his boredom, Yi Mo took out his phone and was about to call Zhang Jian. Luo Yu was developing, and its fame was rising rapidly. This made Yi Mo very happy. The first step of his plan was already working. Now he just needed to continue working, and it wouldn't be a problem to establish a commercial empire in the pharmaceutical industry. As long as he became the #1 commercial empire in the world, he believed he would be able to collect all the spirit herbs very easily. When Yi Mo took out the phone, he realized that phones also needed charging. The battery was out despite it having been turned off. Yi Mo put down the phone in disappointment. He had already noticed Luo Fei walk over, so he stood up. Luo Fei had removed her masquerade and seemed like a completely different person. She was a very beautiful woman. Her leaf-like brows were very enjoyable to look at. Although she was a little lesser than Su Jingwen in looks, her cultivation method made her have a more aristocratic and royal temperament. Yi Mo suddenly thought cheekily that if she were to go like this to the nightclub as a prostitute, she might cause a full-on craze in Yu State. The Lotus Life seed was indeed a good thing. One couldn't tell what she had gone through at all. Even her face was ruddy. However, there was still a little sadness and despondency in her eyes, forming a stark contrast with her face. Seeing that her body was completely clean, Yi Mo praised her in his head. She seemed to have taken a shower with that little amount of water. Women were really unimaginable creatures. He suddenly thought of Luo Ying. In the desert, he had given her a pond, and at that time, Luo Ying had used that little amount of water to wash herself completely clean like the purest of goddesses. Luo Ying. Longing flashed across Yi Mo's eyes. He had been searching for a few months, but there was still no news of her. Luo Fei walked in front of Yi Mo and bowed respectfully before saying, "I don't know what Qianbei is called, but thank you for saving my life. I know that Qianbei must have something to ask me. I will tell you everything I know." Yi Mo applauded this woman's intelligence. He waved his hand and said, "No need to call me Qianbei. I'm friends with Luo Xian. Luo Xian calls me Brother Yi. Thus you can call me that too, or Yemo is fine as well. Hearing about Luo Xian, Luo Fei got a little absent-minded again, but immediately came back to her senses. She looked at the powerless phone in Yemo's hand and knew that Yemo wasn't able to make a call. So she passed over her phone and said, "Brother Yi, here's my phone. You can use it." Yemo took it and gave Zhang Jian a call. Receiving a call from Yemo, Zhang Jian was very excited. He had simply admired Yemo's character before and followed him to Flowing Snake impulsively. But in this short time, they actually became hugely successful. Countless CEOs and managers came to Flowing Snake in person for no other reason but to see him. Zhang Jian reported the sales of Luo Yu Corporation in detail, but there wasn't much progress with the herbs Yemo had asked them to collect. They didn't even collect some of the rare herbs, much less the spirit herbs. Yemo was very disappointed. It seemed that Zhang Jian understood this problem as well. Therefore, Luo Yu was prepared to look for a partnership in Beijing in 2 days. According to their plan, they would look for 4 partners around the globe. Luo Yu would provide them with some ingredients to make the beauty pill, while they would in return help Luo Yu Corporation look for those materials. Of course, all the partners could develop and contract subsidiary companies, thus spreading the mission of the Luo Yu Corporation around the world. Yemo was rather happy about this method and told Zhang Jian that he would be leaving his phone on in the near future. So if there was any problem, he could call Yemo. If he finds the time, he might go to Beijing too. Yemo then hung up the phone and returned it to Luo Fei. Luo Fei took the phone and looked at Yemo in shock. "You are the big boss behind the Luo Yu Corporation." Yemo smiled. "You don't need to make me sound so mysterious. The reason I don't show myself is because I've got other things to do. Luo Yu Corporation is indeed mine. But who would have thought that someone like you would care about such things?" There was some struggle in Luo Fei's eyes, as though she wanted to say something, but couldn't make up her mind to say it. Yemo could tell and said, "If there is something, just say it. If I hadn't saved you, you would have already been dead. What do you still need to hesitate about?" Yemo was very straightforward, but in her mind, Luo Fei felt Yemo was right. If Yemo hadn't saved her, she really would have been dead. Taking this into account, she bit her lips and said, "I don't have anywhere to go now. I heard that beauty pill is very nice and I would like to buy it too, but I don't have any money. After finding out that you're the big boss of Luo Yu, I wanted to go to your company, but then I realized that I can't, so—" "Oh, how come?" Yemo asked. Luo Fei fell silent and replied after a while, "Because my origin is very mysterious. That Qi Yulin came from the same place as me, but his status is higher than mine. Now that he disappeared, the first one they would be looking for is me. Besides, due to the Ni Luo Sutra, I've become a target of a lot of people. Once news gets out, everyone would think the Ni Luo Sutra is in my hands. If I get caught by myself, I just die. But if I join your company, then I could perhaps bring disaster to it. Plus, even without these things, as long as I don't go back, I might be found by them, and they would kill me without hesitation. So that's the reason." Yemo smiled, "So mysterious how it's just an inner hidden sect. Bring disaster to my company? Although I didn't agree for you to join my company, it's not because I was afraid of you bringing them to me. I really don't care about your hidden sections. If they don't mess with me, it's fine. But if they do, I can be a very vengeful person." You actually know about the inner hidden sects?" Luo Fei looked at Yemo in shock. She really didn't dare believe it and subconsciously looked around carefully before saying in a quiet voice, "Sister Luo Xian even told you this? You guys, you actually know about the inner hidden sects?" Luo Fei looked at Yemo in shock. She really didn't dare believe it and subconsciously looked around carefully before saying in a quiet voice, Sister Luo Xian even told you this? You guys. You actually know about the inner hidden sex. Luo Fei looked at Yi Mo in shock. She really didn't dare believe it and subconsciously looked around carefully before saying in a quiet voice, Sister Luo Xian even told you this? You guys. Quite obviously, she thought that Luo Xian and Yi Mo had already broken through that last barrier. Yi Mo sneered and couldn't be bothered to say anything, so he just asked, If you're at the entrance to the small world, how do you go in and out? Sister Luo Xian didn't tell you? Luo Fei was confused as to why Luo Xian would leave these things out. Yi Mo said plainly, I know the gist of it, but I didn't ask specifically. But you're different. You owe me, so I want you to tell me. Luo Fei felt a little sour in her heart. He could have asked Luo Xian, but he just had to ask her. This meant that he cared about whether Luo Xian was willing to answer or not, but didn't care about what she thought. Seeing Luo Fei hesitate, Yi Mo sneered, I saved you just for this purpose, but if you don't want to answer, I can't be bothered to force you. Just take it as me having done a good deed. Thereafter, Yi Mo turned and left. He really didn't want to interrogate a poor woman like her. He believed that even if Luo Fei didn't say anything, he would still be able to find the entrance to the small world. Not to mention, Luo Xian had hinted some things. I'll tell you, I almost lost my life. Why would I care about other things? But you mustn't try your luck and find the entrance, nor should you try to offend the people of the inner hidden sections. If you do, you'll die for sure. In the depth of the sea of clouds in the Hung Duan mountain ranges, there's a natural 7-star formation. It's said to be 7 huge peaks. I don't know how this formation was formed, but the Tian-Ko position of the formation is the entrance to the small world. However, every so often the entrance would change. Luo Fei saw Yi Mo was going to leave and answered decisively. Then how did you guys go in and out? Although Luo Fei was a lot more specific than Luo Xian had been, Yi Mo was still confused. Luo Fei said slowly, I heard that every 50 years the field between the small world and the outside would loosen. The people from the small world would come out for experience or in order to find some things. But each time there are only 50 spots. This time, our sect sent the 3 of us. Usually, these squads have a great heaven Qianbei to lead them. Once they find out that one of us has disobeyed the rules, we will be killed immediately and our sects will also be affected. Then that means you inner hidden sect people can't come out whenever you want. And you can't do whatever you like outside. Yi Mo asked strangely. According to his conjecture last time, the 2 people of Tai Yi Wei and Qingxue he had met had also come out this time. Luo Fei nodded. Yes, people can only come out when the time is right, but each time you can come out for 3 years. Of course, the people can go back before 3 years, but they can't come out again. In theory, we aren't allowed to casually do things to people outside, but there are still some who kill ruthlessly nonetheless. In their eyes, the people of the outside world are like ants, and there are indeed no people to manage this. As long as you don't harm the benefits of the inner hidden sects, no one would care no matter how many bad acts you commit outside. So if you were killed outside, would no one care as well? Also, the inner hidden sects don't allow the people coming out to cause trouble, but that trouble only means things that harm the interests of the inner hidden sections. Everything else doesn't count, is that it? Yi Mo continued asking. Indeed, but for some larger sects such as the 3 big sects of the inner hidden sects, their core disciples will have Tao guardians protecting them. As long as they don't harm the interests of the inner hidden sects, they can do whatever they want. Aside from that, their Tao guardian would use this opportunity to search for cultivation geniuses to bring in. But once you go in, you can never come back out again unless you wait for the same opportunity 50 years later. Luo Fei nodded. Yi Mo seemed to have understood the meaning of the inner hidden sections. He questioned further, if you inner hidden sect people come out and stay here, can you get away scot-free? Luo Fei shook her head and said sadly, "No, if we stay outside, unless we die, we will be killed if we don't go back on time. We may even bring trouble to our sect due to this." But that Qi Yulin said to find a quiet place with you and live with you for the rest of your lives, and you believed him? Plus, how would the people from inside know if you're dead or alive? The outside world is a big place. Yi Emo looked strangely at Luo Fei. He was suspecting that she was lying. Luo Fei looked down and said, "Because he's the core disciple of one of the three big sects, Kuan Qian sect. One of the enforcers is from the Kuan Qian sect and his uncle. He had already told him to remove the things in our bodies so we can stay outside. However, I didn't expect him to." Luo Fei didn't say it, but Yi Emo sighed. Luo Fei was cheating herself. She just hoped it was true, but in fact, Qi Yulin's uncle wasn't going to remove it at all, or he didn't have the ability to do so. The only things that Qi Yulin's uncle did was to plant the same heart goo in Luo Fei's body. A pity that this woman was still fantasizing that Qi Yulin had only treated her poorly after seeing the sutra. As though knowing what Yi Emo was thinking, Luo Fei didn't explain. She instead continued, "All of us inner hidden sect members who come out have an inner Qi restriction planted in us. If we don't return on time, the inner Qi would explode and we would die. So, although the restriction was removed, you were worried that the enforcer would know your position, and when he came to get you, you would bring trouble to the people around you, right?" Luo Fei nodded and confirmed, "Yes." "Give me your hand." Yi Emo was a little confused. He had been in contact with Luo Xian, but had never felt any inner Qi restrictions. Or was it that the person who planted this was much stronger than him? As though knowing what Yi Emo was going to do, or perhaps because she was simply no longer an innocent young girl, Luo Fei gave out her wrist without hesitation. Yi Emo grabbed Luo Fei's wrist, and 3 pulses of Qi went through Luo Fei's chakra points and into her meridian. Luo Fei felt 3 warm flows go through the chakra points in her hand and slowly course through her entire body. There was a numbing yet warm feeling. This made her feel very uneasy, but at the same time she liked this strange warmth in her meridians. In the meantime, she was shocked about how strong Emo's power was. Half an hour later, Yi Emo indeed found an ethereal gust of Qi. This Qi was completely different to the Qi Luo Fei was cultivating. It wasn't from her body. Clearly, this Qi was in hibernation and was very powerful. If it were to be fully released, even an Earth-level middle-stage warrior would die, much less a Black level. Perhaps this Qi was the inner Qi restriction Luo Fei was talking about. Yi Emo fell silent and let go of Luo Fei's wrist. He didn't try to remove that Qi, for he wasn't 100% confident he'd succeed. The person who had planted the restriction was a master. Seeing Luo Fei look at him worriedly, Yi Emo plainly said, "Do you believe that the restriction was removed by Qi Yulin's uncle?" Luo Fei's eyes went dull, but she immediately shook her head. "Before he kicked my stomach, I believed him, but after that, I knew that everything had just been one-sided. I even started suspecting that his uncle hadn't removed the restriction and instead planted a tracking device in my body." Yi Emo sneered, "You're not too dumb. I've removed the same heart goo in your body, and I did find a gust of Qi that doesn't belong to you. Its power could turn you to dust. Even I don't have a 100% certainty at removing it. After all, one accident and you die immediately." Luo Fei immediately said, "I don't care about death. I won't mind even if I die now. I have nowhere to go now. So if you're willing to help me, then try whatever you like. If you think it's too hard, I'll still be very grateful to you and go find a place to face it alone." Having declared that, she seemed to no longer be lost. She had been tricked by someone she loved so much, and yet she had still believed him. She felt she might as well die. Yi Emo looked hesitantly at Luo Fei. If she hadn't wanted to tell him where the inner hidden sects were, he would leave without hesitation. But this woman seemed to be quite smart and figured out his personality. She had told him about the inner hidden sex without him promising anything. This made Yi Mo rather hesitant about what to do. Okay, I'll remove it for you, but you need to cooperate. Also, your qi must follow the direction of my qi. Eventually, Yi Mo decided to help her for two reasons. One was because he wanted to see the power of this restriction, and another was to understand the way of cultivation of the inner hidden sections. Since once he tried to remove this restriction, Luo Fei would have to use her qi to cooperate with Yi Mo. He would get to know her cultivatin method this way. Okay, I'll remove it for you, but you need to cooperate. Also, your qi must follow the direction of my qi. Eventually, Yi Mo decided to help her for two reasons. One was because he wanted to see the power of this restriction, and another was to understand the way of cultivation of the inner hidden sections. Since once he tried to remove this restriction, Luo Fei would have to use her qi to cooperate with Yi Mo. He would get to know her cultivatin method this way. Luo Fei hesitated a little and agreed. She understood what it involved. But now, what secrets did she have in front of Yi Mo? Yi Mo knew everything about her, and even things she didn't dare think about. Besides, if she didn't agree, she would die. Yi Mo didn't care about what Luo Fei thought. He just grabbed her wrist and started to use his qi to remove the restriction. Luo Fei used her qi to follow the movement of Yi Mo's qi. 1 hour later, Yi Mo carefully enveloped that hidden qi inside her body and pulled it outside. Luo Fei also felt the qi that did not belong to her, and her face was scared pale. She was different from Yi Mo. Yi Mo was an outsider, and his qi was far beyond Luo Fei's strength. When Luo Fei felt that qi, she immediately knew that if this qi were to go berserk, she would be blown to dust. Such a heartless man. Luo Fei thought of Qiulin. That man didn't even care if she lived or died. He was prepared to dump her somewhere outside by herself after he'd finished using her. As though feeling the nefarious intent of Yi Mo's qi, the qi inside of Luo Fei's body started to rustle. Yi Mo suddenly used his qi to kick this qi out of her body. Luo Fei didn't even have time to think before feeling this lacerating pain in her dantian. She immediately spat out blood. By then, Yi Mo had already enveloped that qi and condensed his qi fire. He was going to burn away this qi. Even though if the qi dissipated, the owner wouldn't know it was forced out by someone. Yi Mo really didn't have the time yet to fight these guys, so he might as well be careful. Rumble! The qi made a huge sound under Yi Mo's qi fire. Yi Mo retreated a few meters, and the place he had stood at became a huge ditch. Luo Fei looked at that huge ditch in shock. If that qi had exploded inside of her, what would have happened? She looked gratefully at Yi Mo and felt more envious of her little martial sister. Why was her life so much better than hers? Even the man she found was countless times better than hers. Envy. Luo Fei quickly stopped her thoughts. The reason Yi Mo saved her other than her telling him about the inner hidden sex was primarily thanks to her little martial sister. She should be thanking Luo Xian. How could she envy her? Yi Mo turned back and looked at Luo Fei, saying, Luo Fei, I believe you are fine now. All I want now is for you to find a place with no one else and hide. I believe the inner hidden sex won't be able to find you. Luo Fei hesitated for a moment and said, I don't know where to go now either. Although I haven't been out for long, I do have some expertise in herbs. If you agree, I can join your Luo Yu Corporation. I believe there are few people who know more about herbs than me. Yi Mo felt moved. Yeah, she came from the inner hidden sex and the ancient martial arts system. She isn't someone that Su Ping can compare with. If she could help, it would be of great assistance to him. Yi Mo wasn't someone who did things with fear. Since he agreed, he wouldn't care about the revenge of the inner hidden sections. The 3 years' time was almost up, and even if it wasn't, he wouldn't be afraid of the inner hidden sections. Moreover, he had a feud with Tai Yi. Okay, In that case, come to Luo U Corporation with me. There's still 2 days before our company will hold a conference in Beijing. You can come with me to have a look at that time. Follow me to U State first. It's about to be daylight, let's not stay here. Hearing Yi Mo agree to her request, Luo Fei rejoiced. If Yi Mo hadn't agreed, she really wouldn't have known where to go. She didn't have any survival skills. Although she knew a little bit, it was very hard to survive in this society, much less earn enough money to buy the beauty pill. Mao Yuan Building, Room 808. The office of the CEO of the Fei Yu Corporation, Ning Qingxue. It was Monday, and usually there would be a discussion about the new plan for the week. Qingxue would usually participate in this meeting, but today, she didn't tell her secretary to have a meeting. Instead, she dozed off in her seat. Li Mumei walked over bringing some data and looked at Ning Qingxue in contemplation. She said worriedly, Qingxue, this is the data I compiled last night for the conference. Have a look and see if there have to be any additions. Ning Qingxue rubbed her forehead but didn't answer to Li Mumei's words. Instead, she asked, was the nightclub we saw last night Yuan Go World? Li Mumei nodded. Yeah, what's wrong, Qingxue? She didn't think Ning Qingxue had changed her view of Yi Mo after her words. Not to mention, Ning Qingxue had also stated that what Yi Mo did had nothing to do with her. Ning Qingxue frowned and said, I went by there in the morning and found that it was under lockdown. Can you go over and check what happened? Li Mumei was shocked. She didn't believe that Ning Qingxue would walk past there accidentally, because she didn't need to go that way from her house to the company. Since she went there, it meant she did so intentionally. Ning Qingxue had clearly said she had nothing to do with EMO, so why did she still go there? Now, she wanted her to scout information about it. Clearly, she wanted to be aware of Yi Mo's things. Had she remembered something? Thinking about this, Li Mumei asked, Qingxue, did you remember something? Ning Qingxue shook her head. No, I just heard that there was a murder case there. Li Mumei immediately understood. She knew Ning Qingxue too well. Even if the entire nightclub exploded into rubble, she wouldn't care about it. Yet now, she was sitting here in contemplation. She was obviously thinking about whether the murder case was related to Mo. Okay, I'll get someone to ask about it later. Li Mumei realized that Ning Qingxue wasn't as indifferent as she claimed to be. Did she really not care about what happened last night at all? Mumei. Ning Qingxue seemed to want to ask Li Mumei something, but in the end she shook her head. Nothing, go ask. I'll have a look at the data. Afterwards, Ning Qingxue picked up the data Li Mumei had put on the table. However, although her eyes were on the data, the pages were turned upside down. Li Mumei saw that Ning Qingxue was absent-minded and sighed as she walked out of the office. She saw the secretary waiting outside and told him, cancel this week's meeting. I will give out notice when we have another one. After Li Mumei had left for a long while, Ning Qingxue took out the necklace and looked at it before muttering, does he really have something to do with this necklace? How can that be? Master Wu Guang said this necklace was related to a qianbei he knew, and Master Wu Guang was in his 70s. His qianbei would have to be over 100. Knock, knock. The secretary Xiao Yan came and looked at Ning Qingxue hesitantly. What's wrong, Xiao Yan? Ning Qingxue came back to herself and asked. Xiao Yan said carefully, just now, the T-Phone Corporation of U State came. Manager Tang believes they're here to cancel the agreement they just made with us. Manager Tang is having negotiations with them at this moment. T-Phone Corporation? Didn't we just sign an agreement with them? Why are they canceling it? As soon as Ning Qingxue asked, she realized she was asking the wrong person. She said, I understand you can go out first. Just when Ning Qingxue was prepared to go have negotiations with them, Manager Tang, who was responsible for sales, came in. Manager Tang was called Tang Lianshui, a past worker of Ning Zhongfei's. CEO Ning, Tang Lianshui's face was full of guilt. Ning Qingxue said indifferently, "Take a seat first. Did they already revoke the agreement with us?" Tang Lianshue nodded and said, "Yes, because our contract was just signed and hadn't been vindicated by a third party, yet they have no problem in revoking it." Tang Lianshue nodded and said, "Yes, because our contract was just signed and hadn't been vindicated by a third party, yet they have no problem in revoking it." Ning Qingxue frowned and then spoke as though to herself. "In the span of 3 months, this is the 4th corporation that has cancelled a contract with us. Why are things like this?" "I know the sales manager of the T-Phone Corporation. He revealed to me that their corporation didn't willingly revoke the agreement. It was because of Yuanbei Corporation," Tang Lianshue said helplessly. "Yuanbei Corporation? That's the biggest pharmaceutical corporation in China. Why would they care about our little company?" Ning Qingxue asked unwittingly. Tang Lianshue sighed. He felt that lately, this young CEO no longer had the decisiveness from before. She seemed absent-minded all the time and forgot things easily. Now that she'd asked, he could only reply, "Half a year ago, they came to buy our corporation, but you rejected them without a second thought and didn't even listen to their conditions. After Manager Li's investigation, we found out that they want to monopolize the pharmaceutical industry in your state. They didn't have to buy our company, but half a year ago at the pharmaceutical exhibition, the young CEO of their corporation Yuan Qibing was also there. He saw you at the exhibition and asked you out for dinner. He probably decided to buy our company after you rejected him." Ning Qingxue's face went cold, and she said, "Does he not know I'm married? Why didn't Li Mumei tell me this?" "Qingxue, because I thought you were thinking too much lately, I didn't tell you. The company hasn't been doing well recently, so I didn't want to mention it. But the news of your marriage is only known between the few of us. The rest of the people don't really know, not even Manager Tang." Li Mumei's voice sounded at the door. Tang Lianshue smiled bitterly. "Yes, I had no clue indeed." "Manager Tang, are you here to resign?" Li Mumei looked at the resignation letter in Tang Lianshue's hands and frowned. Guilt was shown on Tang Lianshue's face as he said awkwardly, "Sorry, Xiao Ning, Xiao Li. I came to hand my resignation." Ning Qingxue looked at Tang Lianshue in surprise before seeing the resignation letter in his hand. After a long while, she said, "Okay, give me your resignation letter. I'll sign it and let other people handle the process. Just say I have agreed." After Tang Lianshue walked out of the office, Li Mumei sighed, "Qingxue, we can't blame him. His wife has to spend a lot in the hospital. All the while, our company is in a crisis and we aren't doing any business, so he doesn't have enough money for his wife's illness. That's why he chose to resign." Ning Qingxue nodded, "I know. I've been thinking about too many things lately. Thus, I hadn't realized some matters. Manager Tang is a capable man, but no matter how capable he is, if he doesn't have a good platform to operate on, he can't do anything. This is a problem of our company." Li Mumei nodded. "That young CEO of Yuanbei Corporation is forcing you, and his means are disgusting, shameless. But they're the biggest pharmaceutical corporation of China, and no one is willing to annoy them. Also, in 2 days at the Beijing Luoyu Corporation Conference, they just might perhaps get the spot for Asia. Therefore, other pharmaceutical companies are afraid of offending them. Even if you're only connected to Luoyu the slightest bit, you will still be earning big." "Are they so sure that they will be chosen by Luoyu?" Ning Qingxue frowned and said. Li Mumei smiled bitterly. "Yuanbei is the biggest pharmaceutical company in Asia, and globally they're ranked in the top 5. Although the beauty pill's interestingness is completely unimaginable, it's merely a single product. Hence the power of Yuanbei is still far greater than Luoyu's. This is why I don't even think it's them asking to cooperate with Luoyu, but the other way around." Ning Qingxue rubbed her forehead. She knew Li Mumei was right, but but she didn't have any way to stop this from happening. Mumei, even if our company dies, I won't sell it to them, Ning Qingxue said coldly. Li Mumei nodded. I know this company is the blood of your parents. I don't feel comfortable selling it to Yuan Bei either. Still, if they continue to suppress us, we will be forced to shut down. Ning Qingxue nodded. No matter what, we still need to go to the Beijing conference. We need to try our luck. Luo Yu is looking for 2 partners in Asia. We can work hard and be the other one they choose. Li Mumei nodded but didn't speak. She knew that the possibility of that was too low. Also, if Yuan Bei let out news that they don't like Feiyu, then other companies wouldn't cooperate with Feiyu either. Yuan Bei Corporation had some status, even in the international market. Their heart safety serum was renowned all over the world and earned huge profits for the company. Knock, knock. Manager Yu of the Human Resources Department came in. She saw that Li Mumei and Ning Qingxue were both here and spoke worriedly. CEO Ning, CEO Li, there have been quite a lot of people resigning the past few days. Do you think we should do something? Li Mumei said straight up, there's no need. If they want to resign, they can. If we become the partner chosen by Luo Yu in 2 days, then that will be more convincing than anything. Seeing the manager of Human Resources leave, Li Mumei also felt helpless. Other people worked to be the chosen partner, but they worked hard to become the underling of the chosen one. The difference was too huge. However, Li Mumei knew in the depth of her heart that there were around a few hundred companies in Asia wanting to partner with Luo Yu or even more, and their company could only be ranked towards the end. Ning Qingxue didn't talk at first. Only after seeing that the Human Resources manager had left did she ask, Mumei, how was it? Li Mumei nodded and said, last night, there was indeed a murder case at Yuango World. A counterfeiting boss was killed and nothing else, but what? Ning Qingxue quickly asked. I looked at the police footage and copied one over. Yi Mo indeed went there last night and asked for a beer, but he didn't even drink. He just sat for a while and left. He also gave a few $100s as a tip to a waitress. I went and questioned that girl, Li Mumei said. What did she say? Ning Qingxue didn't seem to notice that she was a little desperate. This was completely different to her previous attitude towards Yimo. Li Mumei looked at Ning Qingxue in surprise, but still quoted. After he gave the money, he told me to bring him a beer and not disturb him. One extra word and he would leave immediately. The strange thing was that the time he left was very coincidental. When that Fei Fei of the nightclub had come back and that CEO Chung had gone to find her, a handsome man also came for Fei Fei soon after. It was at this time that he left the nightclub by himself. It's said that the police are suspicious of him, but they can't find him. What's that got to do with him? He didn't even go upstairs, Ning Qingxue said without noticing Li Mumei's strange eyes at all. By the way, Mumei, let's not care about such things. For now, we still need to prepare for our trip to Beijing. My dad will go there tomorrow, and we can go there the day after. If we don't try, we have no hopes at all. But if we do, we will feel better even if we fail. Ning Qingxue finally focused her attention on the company. Li Mumei smiled bitterly. From the beginning to the end, it was you who told me to investigate. I really didn't want to care about this. But still, she felt Ning Qingxue was a little different now. To be exact, after she had told Ning Qingxue that she was married to Yi Mo, her attitude seemed to have taken a peculiar change. Perhaps she didn't even notice it herself, but Li Mumei saw it clearly as a bystander. For normal people, this summer was a time to go on holiday. But for all pharmaceutical companies around the globe, it was a very anxious time. For normal people, this summer was a time to go on holiday. But for all pharmaceutical companies around the globe, it was a very anxious time. This was for no other reason than the sudden appearance of the flowing snake Luo Yu Corporation. Compared to any other pharmaceutical company, the earnings of Luo Yu were thousands of times more lucrative, and this had upset the interest rules of any and every industry. It could be said that since the beginning of history, there hasn't been a single product that was this lucrative. And even though everyone knows it, they are still willing to buy it. One could imagine that if any pharmaceutical company had the slightest relationship with Luoyu, then the profit this company earned would increase exponentially. But Luoyu didn't need any partners. Anyone who wanted a partnership with Luoyu was rejected. Even those who offered to help sell the Luoyu products were rejected. Just when all the pharmaceutical companies in the world were watching this huge slice of cake in admiration, Luoyu Corporation announced that they would be holding a conference and looking for partners. This news shocked the entire pharmaceutical industry. In this moment, Beijing became the focal point of the world. Why? It wasn't only because of the conference. There were also going to be large amounts of beauty pills sold there. They will also use this opportunity to push their new health pill. This was a completely new type of pill that could ease fatigue and remove any discomfort brought by the stress of work. It was pretty much that if you were sick, it cured you, and if you weren't, it made you healthier. Half a year ago, this pill would have been ridiculed by everyone. Yet now, as long as it was promoted by Luoyu Corporation, there would be guaranteed quality. The name of the company itself was a golden named plate. There was no way to counterfeit their beauty pill. There were a lot of attempts, but these counterfeits were easily discernible. Firstly, there was only one distribution point, and that was the designated Luoyu store. Secondly, the pill would melt as soon as it entered the mouth. There were no impurities at all, which was already a hot scientific research subject. Thirdly, upon first opening the bottle, there would be a holographic title saying "Beauty Pill." Before you ate the pill, you would eat the 2 words, and the effects would be better. No one could counterfeit that. So, there were actually no fake imitations of such a lucrative product. No one could counterfeit it. Yemo was sure that the 2 essence chi words he had made with the spirit gathering formation were uncopyable. Therefore, this time, a lot of people didn't come for the conference at Beijing. They came to buy the beauty pill and the health pill. On the black market, one beauty pill cost more than 200K. This was completely due to the lack of production from the Luoyu Corporation. One could see the large business opportunities in this. If you bought even 1 or 2 bottles, you would be earning big. Now, the most popular investment amongst the citizens wasn't buying stocks or houses, but buying beauty pills. Hence, there was not a single pharmaceutical company that didn't take this conference seriously. Many of them sent their most powerful squad to Beijing. There were companies from all over the world. In the short day after announcing the conference, Beijing was already full of people. All of them had come to get rich. If the pharmaceutical companies didn't have many offices, a lot of them wouldn't even be able to find a place to stay. Beijing became more strict in security, and there were much more police on the streets as well. Originally, Yemo had planned to let Luo Fei go meet up with Zhang Jian and company in Beijing by herself. But he figured that he hadn't gone to visit Yiling and Zifeng for a long time, so he might as well take this opportunity to see them. Yemo and Luo Fei got to Beijing on the second day. Since Yemo was with her, he didn't use the flying sword and took the plane instead. At the same time, Yemo taught some names and features of spirit herbs to Luo Fei. Compared to other people, her learning abilities were much better. When Yemo arrived at the Luoyu Corporation's location in Beijing, the Yumao Hotel, Zhang Jian and Yu Miaodan and others were already waiting for him. This time, it was Yang Jiu and Han Zai in charge of security. There were 2 henchmen of Fong Nan who also came, since their martial arts progress had been good. Su Ping had to stay in Flowing Snake to look after production, so he didn't come. If Yemo hadn't told him not to, Fong Nan would have come personally, but Yemo had brought Luo Fei, who was enough to ensure safety. Luo Fei was far stronger than Fong Nan, and Zhang Jian was a yellow-level master himself. Although Luo Fei was from the inner hidden sects, she had been living in the city longer than Yemo and wasn't very rich. Because of that, she knew clearly how Luoyu rose to fame and knew how powerful the CEO of the company was. Although she knew that Yemo was the real boss, she was still shocked when she saw how reverent Zhang Jian and company were to Yemo. This is. Yemo looked at Luo Fei, unsure whether to introduce her full name. Luo Fei quickly intervened. I'm Luo Fei. Yemo nodded and continued. From now on, Luo Fei will be responsible for the importing of materials and inspection thereof. Luo Fei will be responsible for all the rare herbs we are looking for. Miaodan, help her arrange things. Yes, Xiao. After 2 years, Yu Miaodan had recovered from the trauma from before. Currently, her life was very fulfilling. She was truly grateful to Yemo. She no longer had to worry about being stabbed in the back every day. She liked this quiet yet busy life, not the walking on sword life every day. CEO Yi, what standards do we have for looking for collaboration partners? Zhang Jian also loved his current life. After he left the military, he had finally for the first time found a goal in life. He was very reverent towards Yemo, who could create the beauty pill. Yemo hummed and said, "Look at their capability of dealing with herbs. Of course, their technological skills must also be satisfactory. We can tell from the material they've prepared. But we don't need those pharmaceutical companies who don't really take value in searching and storing rare herbs. Actually, those larger companies such as the Yuan Bei Corporation and Lianfeng Corporation do take collecting herbs seriously, and I've seen a couple of their stores. There are indeed some that we need. The heart safety serum from Yuan Bei is purely made from herbs," Zhang Jian replied. "Okay, you guys can arrange these things. I'm going to visit my brother and sister. If I have time, I will come over." Yemo didn't care about the specifics and let the others handle it. Beijing was still densely populated. This wouldn't change because of the Song family being kicked away. Yemo felt a little sad after passing by Drunk Eye Bar. He remembered that Nia Shuang last time he had given her a Lotus Life pill, so he wondered how she was now. "I have already arrived at Beijing. Qingxue, you and Mumei should come quickly. There isn't even a place to stay in Beijing now. Your mother is still in America. She will be back later." A middle-aged man spoke on the phone. "Qingxue?" Yemo immediately noticed this middle-aged man. Just when he was confused as to who this person was and how he knew someone called Qingxue, his next words let him understand completely. "Qingxue, our Feiyu Corporation's success all depends on this. If we can't get connected to Luoyu Corporation, we will be living a tough life indeed. But you shouldn't worry too much. When we first moved to U State, didn't we have nothing as well? So what if we have nothing? Yuan Bei, they can be dominant, we won't mess with them." The middle-aged man's tone was rather helpless. So he was Ning Qingshue's father. He seemed quite shaggy. This was Yemo's first time seeing Ning Zhongfei. He seemed like a man with temperament, but at the moment he was very tired. However, when Yemo scanned the man's black handbag with a spirit sense, he was shocked. There was also a bracelet in his bag, and it was the exact same one as his sister, Tang Beiwei's. What was this? Normally, there should only be a single pair of that bracelet. Why was there 3 now? Ning Zhongfei put the phone down, feeling worried. He and his wife hadn't accomplished anything in America. If it wasn't because there was no other way for the company, he wouldn't have stayed in the States for so long when they had no intention of collaborating with them. This couple found a sliver of hope when they heard Luoyu is looking for collaboration partners. Ning Zhongfei put the phone down, feeling worried. He and his wife hadn't accomplished anything in America. If it wasn't because there was no other way for the company, he wouldn't have stayed in the States for so long when they had no intention of collaborating with them. This couple found a sliver of hope when they heard Luoyu is looking for collaboration partners. Although they knew that their company had no hope of succeeding, they thought the same as Ning Qingsue. If a company was chosen, they could then become a branch of that company. That would still be a huge success. "Who are you?" Ning Zhongfei stopped his random thoughts and looked at Yemo, who was standing in front of him with a smile. Yemo had suddenly halted right there. If he weren't on the street with so many people, he would have thought it was a robbery. Yemo smiled. Older brother, can we talk somewhere more private? I have some things to ask you about. Yemo was going to call him something else, but by the time it got to his mouth, it became older brother. Ning Zhongfei looked strangely at this young man who suddenly invited him. He was a bit vigilant, but he had been everywhere and seen all sorts of people. He didn't sense any ill will from Yemo's eyes. May I ask what you want me for? I don't seem to know you, Ning Zhongfei replied hesitantly. Yemo could only say, here's the thing, when you opened your bag and put your phone in, I saw a bracelet in there. That bracelet is related to me, so I wish to invite you to the cafe up ahead and have a talk. Although there were a lot of people present, Ning Zhongfei rejected without hesitation. The guy said he had instantaneously seen what was in his bag when he had opened it. This made him suspicious. It was hard to see from outside, and even if he could, how could he know it was related to him? Furthermore, why did he look at his bag for no reason? Yemo knew his approach had been too sudden. Of course, he hadn't seen it with his eyes. He scanned it with his spirit sense, but he couldn't say that. Now that Ning Zhongfei rejected, he could only take out his bracelet and pass it to Ning Zhongfei. Friend, what I said was true. I really did see a bracelet like this one in your bag. This bracelet is very important to me. If you don't mind, I want to know where it came from. Ning Zhongfei took the bracelet, being confused, and looked at it casually. He immediately knew that what Yemo was saying had to be true, because the bracelet Yemo gave him was exactly the same as the one he had bought in America. He had just come down from the plane and hadn't even found a place to live. Yemo couldn't have made a counterfeit this quick. Also, one could tell there was some history to the bracelet. Although he didn't know why Yemo's eyes were so good, he understood that Yemo was no ordinary person. How could an ordinary person have such acute perceptions? In that case, please. Although he wasn't too willing, Ning Zhongfei still agreed to Yemo's request. Yemo and Ning Zhongfei found a place to sit. Seeing that Ning Zhongfei was still absent-minded, Yemo wanted to ask, but Ning Zhongfei came back to his senses. He took out the bracelet and handed it to Yemo. I bought this in America. Have a look yourself. Ning Zhongfei spent $8,000 on this. Although their company wasn't doing well, that little amount of money didn't mean much to him. Yemo compared the two bracelets, and they were exactly the same indeed. Adding his sister's bracelet, there were 3 of these now. Yemo put down the bracelet and asked Ning Zhongfei, May I ask where you bought this? Ning Zhongfei drank coffee like water, finishing it in one go, and replied, I bought this in Chinatown in the States. I felt it was good, so I bought it. Having compared it, is it the same as yours? Yemo nodded. It is. Also, this bracelet was left behind by my mother. So could you please tell me exactly where you bought it? Furthermore, I wish to buy this at double the price. Would you be willing to sell it? Ning Zhongfei had bought this bracelet casually and dumped it in his bag. He was going to bring it to Qingxue and didn't mind that much, since Yemo wanted to buy it. If he hadn't seen Yemo's bracelet, he would have rejected without a thought. But now, after seeing Yemo's and knowing that what Yemo said was probably true, it would be immoral to hold back someone looking for his kin for a bracelet. Ning Zhongfei said without hesitation, In that case, take it. Just reimburse me according to the original price. I bought it at Mingyu Balcony in Chinatown. You can go ask for it there. Ning Zhongfei didn't care too much about a few $1,000s. Yemo sighed. Ning Zhongfei was a good person. At least in Yemo's view, he was much easier to talk to than Ning Qingshue's mother-in-law knew. He wanted to help Ning Zhongfei a bit and said casually, In that case, thank you, older brother. I also came to Luoyu conference this time, but finding this bracelet was unexpected. I'm truly grateful. Please tell me your card number. I'll get someone to transfer to you now. You also came for the conference this time? May I ask which company you are from? That was the thing Ning Zhongfei cared about the most in this conversation up until now. Just when Yemo was hesitating if he should tell Ning Zhongfei he was Yemo, he thought about Lan Yu and Ning Qingshue's attitude to him. So he could only sigh, my company has only been established for a year, but I'm quite confident about this. Hearing that Yemo's company had only been formed for a year, Ning Zhongfei immediately felt disappointed. But after hearing Yemo's latter words, he quickly understood that Yemo must have some connections. Of course, he only thought that those connections could help Yemo find some branch contracts. Thinking about his company, he couldn't help but sigh. If our company hadn't offended Yuan Bay Corporation, we would also be able to look for a company in order to be their lower branch. But now, sigh. How did you offend Yuan Bay Corporation? Don't people say they're a good company and that it's highly likely that they will be chosen this time? Yemo had heard this from Zhang Jian, but now that Ning Zhongfei told him this, he got confused. No matter what, Feiyu being a third-grade pharmaceutical company, it wouldn't offend an overlord like Yuan Bei of their own will. Ning Zhongfei sighed and didn't speak. How could he not know that Yuan Bei was the most likely one to be chosen? Yet now, if they were chosen, the situation would only be worse for Feiyu. Yemo saw that Ning Zhongfei didn't speak and figured he didn't want to talk about it. Even what he had muttered before had been unintentional. Yemo thought of the other company that Zhang Jian had mentioned, Lianfeng, and immediately said, in fact, I have some connections with Yuanfeng. Even if you've offended Yuan Bei, that doesn't mean you won't have any cooperation opportunities. Perhaps if I speak with the person responsible for Lianfeng, they could collaborate with you. What? Are you really familiar with the people over at Lianfeng? This is great. I'm called Ning Zhongfei. What's your name? Ning Zhongfei stood up excitedly. Finally, he thought of asking for Yemo's name. Yemo smiled and said, Brother Ning, don't be hasty. Let's talk about how you got into a conflict with Yuan Bei. Perhaps I can help. Yemo thought that if the conflict wasn't big, he would let Zhang Jian mediate between the two. After all, their Luo Yu Corporation had some status now. Ning Zhongfei sat down and sighed. He even forgot to keep asking about Yemo's name and said, The young CEO of Yuan Bei invited my daughter to dinner at an exhibition half a year ago. Then his father told people to tell me that his son liked my daughter and wanted our two families to become one. I rejected. I didn't even tell my daughter. Yemo's eyes went cold. Where did they find the guts to try anything with Ning Qingxue? Although she had forgotten the things between him and her, she was still legally his wife. It seemed that this young CEO had decided to use his company to get revenge. How dare he? Ning Zhongfei continued. I know my daughter's personality. Even if the company bankrupts, I wouldn't let my daughter marry someone she doesn't like. Besides, she already has a marriage pact. Soon after, Yuan Bei wanted to buy our company, and my daughter rejected it. Afterwards, they would intervene whenever we made a contract with another company. Yemo was angry. Although he wouldn't go kill Yuan Qibing, this company was sent to hell in his heart. Contrarily, his impression of Ning Zhongfei was great. He didn't expect Ning Zhongfei to remember the marriage pact between Ning Qingxue and him. Ning Zhongfei seemed to have realized that he had been a bit too emotional there and slunk down. Ning Zhongfei seemed to have realized that he had been a bit too emotional there and slunk down. Yemo felt that Ning Zhongfei might have had too much hardship recently and could only say, Brother Ning, when the car arrives before the mountain, there will be a road up. Why worry so much? Put in your application tomorrow for the conference. Although the Yuan Bei Corporation will be doing so as well, there's no rule that says they have to be chosen. Ning Zhongfei smiled bitterly. It would already be great luck for us to get a spot as a branch company. Then he shook his head. although Yi Mo said he could help him talk to the Lien Phone Corporation. This spot would be very precious. How could someone he just met give him such a precious spot? Not to mention, Lien Phone Corporation only had hopes of being chosen. Even though they weren't small, they were only ranked in the top 10 in Asia. This was far from Yuanbei. Yi Mo listened and knew that Ning Zhongfei didn't have high expectations, so he persuaded, Brother Ning, everyone can apply in the conference. If you just care about a branch spot, then you might lose your opportunity. I suggest you still go try. How do you know you will fail if you don't give it a go? If you try, there's nothing to regret, right? Ning Zhongfei's eyes brightened up while listening. Yeah, who said it had to be Yuanbei that was chosen? After all, Luo Yu didn't have any criteria for accepting. Who said their Fei Yu Corporation couldn't be chosen? Plus, even if they couldn't, he had to try at least. If he did, and it still didn't work out, he would accept fate. Considering this, Ning Zhongfei patted the table and stood up. Yeah, how do I know I can't get it if I don't try? Okay, I'll do my best. Thank you, brother. Then, Ning Zhongfei turned and left. He was going to organize their profile again during the night. He had experienced all sorts of hardships. How could he lose the will to fight now? Yi Mo smiled. Okay, so he was being brothers with Ning Qingshue's dad. What was this? But he still called out, Wait, Brother Ning, give me your bank details. I'll transfer the money later. Ning Zhongfei's ecstatic voice sounded, A few thousand is nothing. You can pay for the coffee today. I'll go back to prepare my profile. Regardless whether I succeed or fail after the conference, I will come looking for you. If it doesn't work out, I might need your help with business in the future. After declaring this, he walked out of the cafe and chose to believe Yi Mo's words without hesitation. Yi Mo sat down helplessly. He hadn't been sure whether Ning Zhongfei had seen him before, but now it was obvious he didn't know him. Yi Mo shook his head and picked up his phone to call Zhang Jiayan. CO Yi? Yes, it's Zhang Jiayan. Yi Mo had just left, and he was calling back. Zhang Jiayan felt strange, but he presumed something had to be up with Yi Mo. He rarely called if there wasn't. Brother Zhang, there's a Yuanbei Corporation that will be coming to the conference. I investigated them, and they really aren't up to standard. Leave them out of this. Also, we'd planned to choose 2 from Asia, but now, change that to 1 and give it to the Fei Yu Corporation of Yu State. Their CEO, Ning Zhongfei, is a good and very capable person. As for their branch companies, leave that up to them. Yi Mo thought that it was the same no matter who collected herbs for him. Since his father-in-law was interested, he might as well give it to him. That Yuanbei Corporation, Yuan Qibing, dared scheme for Qingxue. This made him very angry. If it wasn't because he wanted to go to America and look around, he'd like to go teach him a lesson right now. I understand. Aside from that, manager, you has transferred 10 million into your card, Zhang Jiayan mentioned. Seeing Zhang Jiayan had hung up, Yu Miaodong looked at him strangely and asked, CEO Zhang, didn't Big Boss just leave? Why did he call? CEO Yi told us to ignore that Yuanbei Corporation and give the spot to Feiyu Corporation, and only them. He said he'd investigated that Yuanbei Corporation and didn't like them, Zhang Jiayan replied. Yu Miaodong wondered out loud. CEO Yi usually doesn't even care about such little things. He was just here, and he didn't care. Why would he suddenly think of this? Also, he couldn't have gone to investigate Yuanbei Corporation. Although they are the biggest corporation in Asia, I don't think he even considers them to be significant. Yang Jiu, what are you laughing at? Tell me. Yu Miaodong suddenly saw Yang Jiu snickering on the side and immediately asked. Yang Jiu and Han Zai have been living a very comfortable life now. They had nothing to worry about, and their salary was absurdly high. They've already bought houses in Flowing Snake. Now, if they were sent to live the killer life again, they might as well die. So, not only were they respectful to Yi Mo, but to Zhang Jiayan and Yu Miaodong as well. However, He just couldn't help but laugh after hearing Yu Miaodon's words. Other people didn't know why Yemo took care of Feiyu Corporation, but he knew all too well. He had investigated it countless times, and Ning Qingxue had been one of his targets before. Manager Yu, I just laughed for no reason. Yang Jiu didn't dare expose what Yi Emo thought and was annoyed at himself for not being able to control himself. Yu Miaodon said casually, "Oh, it's fine, you don't have to say it." Then, Yang Jiu, you can take the plane back to Flowing Snake this afternoon. We're fine with just Hanzai here. You won't get your holiday next season since you need to work extra shifts. No, please manager you, I'll say it, so please. Yang Jiu cursed in his head. He finally got to come out once, and so glamorously even. Yet now he was going to be sent back like this early. He wouldn't do it. In order to come out this time, he fought with Fong and over it for a long time before getting the spot. How could he be willing to go back? Plus, the holiday of each season was their most happy moment. How could he let this holiday be taken away? If it was taken away, even Hanzai would be able to show off in front of him, much less Fong Nan. Yu Miaodon said plainly, "Oh, what do you have to say? If you don't say it, I'm going shopping." Yang Jiu didn't dare hesitate and quickly answered, "The CEO of Feiyu Corporation is Big Boss's wife. They've already gotten a marriage certificate, but because of some things there have been some problems between them, so... Yang Jiu's heart skipped a beat. He didn't know if Yemo would punish him for saying this. Oh, so that's it. Zhang Jian and Yu Miaodon looked at each other and came to a sudden realization. If Ning Qingxue was Yemo's wife, then she would be the future CEO of the corporation. They had to take this seriously. Yang Jiu, tell me why CEO Yi dislikes Yuan Bei Corporation. Yu Miaodon immediately grasped the focal point of the issue. Yang Jiu wiped the sweat from his head and said, I really don't know. Yang Jiu didn't lie. Ever since he quit and started following Yemo, he didn't investigate such things anymore. Oh, in fact, you might know, but if you really don't, then I might have to tell what you just said to CEO. Yu Miaodon grabbed some tea and said. Yang Jiu looked at this woman and said bitterly, "Okay, give me some time. I can find this out." Seeing Yang Jiu leave like that, everyone in the room laughed. However, only one person didn't laugh, and that was Luo Fei. Not only did she not laugh, but her heart had sunk. She didn't expect Yi Mo to be married, and he seemed to be taking care of his wife a lot. For some reason, though, there was some conflict between the two for now. If Yi Mo was married, what would Luo Xian do? Had she guessed wrongly? Or did Yi Mo not like Luo Xian at all? But if her guess had been wrong, how could Luo Xian tell Yi Mo about the inner hidden sex? Yi Mo could remove the qi restriction, meaning that Luo Xian's restriction must have also been removed. If Luo Xian was out by herself, wouldn't she be off worse than her? Although she didn't know why Luo Fei was unhappy, Yu Miaodon had a superb perception. Other people didn't know what was the most important aspect of Luo Yu. They would think it's prediction and sales, but Yu Miaodon knew that the most important part was to collect herbs and find new ones to provide for Yi Mo. And now all of that would be managed by Luo Fei. Since Yi Mo invited Luo Fei to take care of the most important part of the company, it meant that Luo Fei was a very important person. Yu Miaodon didn't dare overlook such a person. Thinking about this, Yu Miaodon walked in front of Luo Fei and grabbed her hand, saying, "Luo Fei, let's go out and have a walk. Beijing is one of the most prosperous cities in China. I haven't seen it yet, so since we're here, we need to go have a look." Luo Fei looked at Yu Miaodon in disbelief. Strictly speaking, Yu Miaodon was above her, but meeting her for the first time, this higher-up seemed to be intentionally getting close to her. "Big brother, why are you here?" Yi Zifeng was very happy to see Yi Mo had come to visit him. Yi Mo usually disappeared for a year or half, and you could rarely ever meet him. He didn't expect Yi Mo to come see him now. Big brother, why are you here? Yi Zifeng was very happy to see Yi Mo had come to visit him. Yi Mo usually disappeared for a year or half, and you could rarely ever meet him. He didn't expect Yi Mo to come see him now. Yi Mo smiled. I came to see you and Yi Ling. Where is Yi Ling? Yi Zifeng said helplessly. She had arranged to go mountain hiking with friends. Should I call her? Yi Mo stopped him. No need, let her go play. If Yi Ling knew that you came back, and she didn't see you, she'd be sad. She's been hoping for you to visit every day, and when you finally came, she went hiking, Yi Zifeng smiled. Yi Mo saw Yi Zifeng's state and knew he had been living quite well recently, so he asked casually, Zifeng, how's life for you here? Yi Zifeng nodded. It's quite good. Probably all because of Grandpa. No one is trying to trouble me, and I've also entered the political scene. Grandpa is starting to transfer things to me, both big and small. In that case, I can rest easy, Yi Mo nodded and said. He was worried about Yi Ling and Yi Zifeng the most. Since Yi Zifeng had found what he wanted to do now, he could rest assured. Otherwise, he might have brought Yi Zifeng to Flowing Snake. Big brother, don't worry. Although our Yi family isn't the biggest family in China now, no one can attack us in the dark. Not only is Grandpa close with a few international leaders, but Elder Tan and Feng also come frequently to chat with Grandpa. Still, Grandpa said that it's mainly because of you standing behind the Yi family. If it wasn't for you, then we wouldn't have such glory, Yi Zifeng declared without any concern. Yi Mo nodded. He could tell what Yi Beirong was trying to do, but he didn't mind. After all, Zifeng and Yi Ling were also here. It was fine if they borrowed his name. However, Yi Mo didn't think that they were afraid of him. Ever since Elder Tan and Feng appeared, he would never underestimate the power of a country again. He was only going to be concerned, though. He wouldn't be afraid. The thing was, if he didn't reach stage 4 in time, facing the revenge of Tan Jiao, his entire family would perish. He had no chance of victory against Tan Jiao at level 3. He wouldn't even be able to get away. And Yi Mo believed that if he was no match for Tan Jiao, then even if Han Zixin and company wanted to help him, they wouldn't do it directly. These people were very realistic, but he wouldn't look down on them due to this. It was already very great that Elder Han spoke up for him when Tan Jiao was looking for trouble, so he was very careful. Since there was a Tan Jiao, who knew if there wouldn't be a Li Jiao or a Zhang Jia? Would a country not have any backup? Was the government really being suppressed by the hidden sects? Yi Mo doubted this, but he wouldn't go investigate. His principle was to not mess with those who didn't mess with him. Plus, he was more unwilling to act against a country. Elder Han said if you came back, you should have a chat in his house if you had the time. Aside from that, Zhang Ju and Brother Li, who have come for you many times. They keep saying they can't reach your phone, Yi Zifeng continued. Yi Mo nodded. I have some business this time. I'll go see them the next time I come back. And if Yi Ling comes back and doesn't like living here, tell her to go to Flowing Snake. I have some assets there. Oh, Yi Zifeng asked, are you leaving already? Yes, I still have things to deal with. By the way, the bracelet you told Yi Ling to bring last time was left for me by my mother, correct? Did she have anything else to say to me? Yi Zifeng confirmed. Yeah, when father left, you and Yi Ling weren't there. He told me to give you the bracelet, saying your mother left it behind. But he didn't say anything else. Yi Mo frowned. Did he say where my mother had gone? Yi Zifeng shook his head. No, but what? Yi Mo asked immediately. When I was very young, I heard my parents argue once. Then my mother said, why don't you go abroad and find that bitch? After which, Dad and Mom separated. A few years later, Mother also left the Yi family. I don't know if my mom was talking about yours, Yi Zifeng said sadly. After his mom had left, He searched everywhere with Yi Ling, but didn't find her. Yi Mo said, "Okay, since you've got more resources now, spend some more time looking for your mom. I'm going, but after I come back, I'll come visit you and Yi Ling again. Also, give this pill to Yi Ling for her to eat." Then, Yi Mo passed a bottle to Yi Zifeng. Yi Zifeng took the bottle in shock and asked, "Big brother, don't tell me this is the beauty pill." Yi Mo smiled. "Tell Yi Ling that after she eats this, she'll no longer need to eat a beauty pill again. This is countless times more precious than the beauty pill. Well then, I'll be going." Yi Zifeng was frozen on the spot for a long time. What pill could be countless times more precious than the beauty pill? How could Big Brother have such a precious recipe? He suddenly thought of the pill Yi Ling gave him to eat last time. After he ate it, his wounds recovered very quickly. Where did Big Brother get these pills from? "Zifeng, did your big brother come back just then?" Yi Beirong's voice sounded outside. Yi Zifeng came back to his senses and quickly walked to the door. "Yes, Grandpa. Big Brother came to visit me and Yi Ling, but Yi Ling has gone hiking. Big Brother said he's busy and would come again. However, he said if Yi Ling didn't like staying in Beijing, then she should go to his place in Flowing Snake. Apparently he has some assets there." Flowing Snake? At this moment, Yi Zifeng reacted. Wasn't the HQ of Luoyu Corporation at Flowing Snake? That was the home of beauty pill production. Yi Zifeng looked at the jade bottle in his hands and seemed to understand. He almost screamed, "Is Luoyu Corporation Big Brothers?" Yi Beirong sighed. He was sure that Yi Zifeng was right. Yi Mo had created such huge success in such a short time. How astounding this was. Luckily, he stopped his schemes on Yi Mo in time. Otherwise, there wouldn't be the current Yi family now. Perhaps they would be gone like the Song family. Everyone in the upper class knew why the Song family was shattered and why the Yi family was prosperous. It was all because of Yi Mo. Yi Beirong was in a daze. "Grandpa, did Big Brother really create Luoyu Corporation?" Yi Zifeng was more shocked. He had seen big scenes, but he also understood what the beauty pill was. This was an absurdly lucrative product. He didn't think it would belong to his big brother. His brain short-circuited. He didn't even dare think about it. The reason why there were so many people in Beijing these past few days was all because of the conference Luoyu Corporation was holding there. Yi Beirong nodded and said, "Zifeng, you're right. Other than him, no one would have the guts to open factories at a place like that. Remember, you need to learn from your big brother. He's a dragon amongst men. The slightest advice will benefit you greatly. However, Yi Zifeng quickly nodded and said, "I know, Grandpa, however what?" Yi Beirong sighed. "Your brother does things based on his heart and isn't affected by any other external factors. He treats people based on how they treat him. Although this is the true color of a man, but being too stiff means being easy to break. Although his fortune is good, and he's strong, he's just one person after all. Zifeng, you need to remember, stiff equals brittle. Only the soft-een can do as they please in this world. The softest thing in the world is water. You need to be like water. This is the highest mental state in any career. If you have the opportunity, try to persuade your big brother. As long as he has the beauty pill, he can go anywhere he wants. There's no need for him to station his base in Flowing Snake. Sigh, your big brother probably isn't someone you can persuade." "Why?" "I heard Brother Zhangju say that my brother is practically invincible. How could anything happen?" Yi Zifeng asked confusedly. He really cared about his big brother and didn't want anything bad to happen to him. Yi Beirong said slowly, "Invincible? There are many capable men in China. Who can claim to be invincible? Not to mention, Flowing Snake is on the border between China, Vietnam, and Luosi. And the place Luoyu is at is pretty much Vietnam's land. Originally, it was a deserted and chaotic place, but now Due to the expansion of Luoyu, it is growing more prosperous. A prosperous place without the protection of an army. What do you think will happen? Yi Zifeng suddenly stood up and said worriedly, Grandpa, you're saying that Vietnam and Luo will attack Flowing Snake? Are they not afraid of China? Yi Beirong said plainly, scared of China? 1. Luoyu isn't registered in China. 2. Their territory belongs to Vietnam. What reason does China have to send reinforcements? Furthermore, a lot of people feel threatened by your big brother. Who would be willing to mobilize troops for him? Of course, this is just my guess. After all, this sort of thing might cause international conflict. Thus, even Vietnam and Luo need to be mindful. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.